Welcome to Scorched Earth and an all signs reading for the 26th of April through to the 2nd of May. I hope you are. So we're going to start off with a theme for the week for you. Now that could be the nature of the energy as it's presenting to you, or the events. It won't be clear until I put them down on the table. Excuse me. And from there we will have a look at love and relationships. We'll move on to your material environment, you know, work, money, that sort of thing. And then we'll kind of close out with a do this, don't do that. So we'll look at the point of focus for you of the week, like where is the best place for you to put your energy, and then also what you should sort of avoid for the coming week. I hope that's clear for everyone. Obviously, we're going to start off with Aries at the beginning of the zodiac. So, could I have a theme for the week for Aries, please? Ooh, there we are. We have the Wheel of Fortune. Interesting. So, unexpected things potentially coming in for you this week. Just noticed that we've got the Two of Wands at the bottom of the deck there. Unexpected decision making, possibly, that's going to be required from you, because it feels like there's something kind of sideways coming in for you here, but it feels good. And more than that, it kind of feels like you've courted it, Aries, which is nice. What have we got here? We've got the Hierophant next to it. So it could be something to... just looking at the red robes that those are both wearing there, that's really interesting. It could be something related to education, an unexpected opportunity that comes up. And if it does come up, I think you would need to move on it fairly swiftly, Aries. Big decision making, yeah. Because there's possibly quite a bit of competition for this. We've got the Seven of Wands here. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be related. Oh, look at that. We've got the Justice card. All of these red robes under here. It doesn't necessarily need to be related to education, but it could well have that kind of feel to it, right? So what we're looking at is structure. Unexpected ways in which you can change the structure that you work within. Now, that, like I said, that could be education, that could be work, it could be all manner of different places. But whatever it is, there's definitely a sort of be prepared for the unexpected, because it's coming in for you, and it feels quite a bit bigger. Like the repercussions of this are quite a bit bigger than you initially realise. I don't think this is something that you're going to notice until a little way along the line. But once you have, you're going to be exceedingly impressed with yourself that you moved as swiftly as you did, you know, even given the fact that you didn't understand quite how big the consequences were of it. You know, it's a small thing that gets big, and that's nice. I like that. It would do well to remain fluid at this time too, you know. Don't compromise on the things that you know are kind of deal breakers for you, but everything else, be prepared to kind of work around. Right, let's have a look at love and relationships. Ooh, what have we got here? We've got the Ten of Pentacles, so these look really good for you this week. Notice we've got Hierophant at the bottom of the deck there again for you. It's just Taurus energy, and we are moving into Taurus season. In fact, by the time you watch this video, we will actually quite likely already be there, you know, the 21st, 22nd of April, kind of coming in. So love and relationships do seem kind of settled and stable this week. We've got the Three of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords, so we've got potentially people coming in with information for you. And notice actually that we've got the Tower at the bottom of the deck here, so there could be something that gets shaken up this week, but ultimately where it leads is something much more stable. You know, we've got the possibility of a message coming in, somebody wanting to work with you on something, somebody possibly wanting to actually, I'm hearing dropping a clanger, and I'm sure that's what came up in your monthly reading too. Somebody rushing in, you know, to deliver some news to you that is kind of destabilizing. But there's something much better on the other side. We've got the King and Queen of Cups. on the other side of this. It could be about fixing relationships. It could be about fixing the way that you show up in relationships too. But the important thing is to note that there's something around your stability and your structure that kind of needs to fall. It feels like you're getting some more information about something that you didn't know about, that is coming then in. And it's coming from a place of love. I have to say this. It is coming from a place of love. But there's something about this information that allows you to stabilize something that you didn't even realize that you were afraid of, or something that was kind of holding you back in some sort of way. It does seem on the other side of this week, or this process, or whatever is going on here, that actually things are better. Things are more balanced. You are more able to work with other people than you were before. That things are better structured than they were before too. Ooh, interesting. Tell me about the material environment, please. We've got two cards here for you. We have the Page of Pentacles and we have the Star. The Star is Aquarius energy. It's a good week for starting something new if you intend to. But if you do start something new, it's got to be a kind of slow start here. Aries, it's got to be a taking a seed and planting it with a view to creating something a bit more long-lasting. I'm actually really drawn by the amount of earth energy that we've got here for you. We've got that Hierophant sort of propping up the Wheel of Fortune there. We've got the Ten of Pentacles. These are both cards that talk about stability and commitment to something, right? And then we've got the Page of Pentacles. We've got you starting something new, right? The Page of Pentacles is always for me about extracting the value from any given situation, right? So you've got something in front of you, like, this has got potential, this I like, this I'm going to work with. But notice how we've got a very slow and steady start, and then we've got this card here that talks about the future. We've got hopes and dreams and that sort of thing. It's a good week to start things, but only if you are ready to commit to them fully, right? There's no kind of half-assed energy with the cards that are showing up here. Yeah. We've got the Three of Cups on the Justice card. That's interesting how all of these red robes, look at this, how they're all carried across. I think maybe wearing red for you this week would be a really good look, but maybe it's a sign, right? Look out for, in fact, I'm seeing it even more now, like, right, we've got a woman there in a red cloak, and we've got here, red cloak. Like, red is the colour of danger, but it is also the colour of, passion and these sorts of things, and creativity, I think. And if you were to assign a colour to it, I would say risk too, you know? And sometimes committing to something will feel like a risk for a fire sign, but actually I think this is a really good week for you to commit to something that is slow moving, that will take a while to come to the fore. You know, maybe it's the cultivation of a new idea for something if you're employed. You know, perhaps taking on a little bit more responsibility, just a little bit, not too much. Sowing seeds for what may come later. If you're self-employed, it could be diversification in what it is that you do. It could be adding an element into something that you do, or it could be paring it down. It could be making it a little bit more focused, maybe a little bit more niche. And if you've got any kind of contractual things coming up, this is a good week to get those sorted, whether you're employed, self-employed, or whatever. There's potential for celebration here. If you're settling on some sort of legal issues or contracts, that sort of thing. Maybe even investing in something that will allow you to do more in the future. Ooh, interesting. Right, what should Aries focus their energy on this week? We have the Ten of Cups. Happiness. not only your personal happiness, but that of those around you, you know, where you fit into it. Like I did actually really long reading for Aries for May, and it looks like this is the start of all of this, because I can't quite believe how much the cards have carried over here. We've got the Knight of Cups and the Fool at the bottom of the deck. Like, things are changing, and there's a big change coming in for you here, but there's a liberation implied with it. There is an opening of the heart implied with it here. So don't be on the attack, Aries. You don't need to be on the attack. It's like whatever this is, whatever is coming up for you to deal with in all aspects of your life, because it doesn't feel like there's a bit of this that it doesn't touch. Yeah, we've got the Eight of Pentacles. Working on peace, harmony, the people that are around you that you care about, you know, working on the relationships with those. Where there is anything that you are not comfortable with, you are not happy with, things that just feel wrong in some way or another, you are being given an opportunity to kind of start this again here. So rather than freaking out about things changing, and I don't actually think that you would, I mean, like, Taurus might, but you're much more fluid than they are in terms of how you approach the world. The important thing this week is the relationships for you. Now, I don't know how many spoons you have in terms of what it is that you are able to focus on this week, but the relationships and the emotional interactions that you have are truly the most important, because we've got, like, look, we've got 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles, we've got the Wheel of Fortune, which is a 10 also. You've got all of these completions coming in, and necessarily that sometimes throws things up in the air, but where you're going on the other side of this is going to be much more comfortable for you. Yeah, so what we have in terms of avoiding this week for you is charging in too hard with your mouth, right? It's don't rush in to say your piece. It's a week to be a little bit more circumspect, a little bit more reflective. Tell me about the Knight of Swords, because it could be that some of the things that come in, yeah, like some of the things that come in, some of the messages that drop, you know, some of the information that comes to you has you kind of reacting like this, like, whoa, you know, like, whoa, I'm going to go and sort this out. What the cards are saying is take a step back. Don't engage immediately. Like, the Knight of Swords here for you. We also have the Knight of Swords down there. Like, this one felt like someone coming towards you. This one feels like your response, right? And you've got two Knight of Swords. I can't make it happen, but you know, if they're like coming together and clashing, there's all sorts of verbal strife that can go on there. And actually what's being asked of you is to maybe be the bigger person in the situation, but certainly step back, because it does feel like there's the information that's coming towards you is true. It may be fairly clumsily delivered, but it is true. And whilst it may hurt, it doesn't stop it being true, right? And it's sort of the consequences of this information that feel like the things that have you reeling somewhat. And that's not the best space for you to be able to express what it is that you feel, because it doesn't actually feel to me like you'll really know what you feel until you've had a bit of a time to process it and reflect on it. We've got the Seven of Swords and the Eight of Swords here. Like, you run the risk of talking yourself into a corner with something that would make this situation much more difficult to navigate than if you just stop and go, I need to take a little bit of time just to work out what this all means, and then kind of come back once you've had a chance to regroup. It's like, it's putting your best foot forwards by not rushing, not being hasty, not being reactive this week, right? Like, all of this good energy up here for you is very measured. It's very slow. It's like, take these little steps, make sure you're committing to the path that you're taking here, and don't be involved in that kind of situation. Right. And we've seen this for you, Aries. It's been coming up in the monthlies for a while, that you're becoming more reflective. You're taking that little bit of time, a bit more discerning about where you put your energy, because none of us are getting any younger, you know. And whilst you might have been able to be volcanic about literally everything in your past, after a while that starts to catch up with you, and it's like, well, actually, I don't need to fight that battle. I don't need to react to that thing just there, you know. It's a good week for you, but it is a week that is full of change and shifts and an undermining of what was established, but it's all part of a birthing process, right? It's that uncomfortable bit just before, you know, the new kind of pops out. Take your time with everything and you'll be all right. So let's move on to Taurus, our lovely balls. And let's see what's going on for you. Can I have a card for the theme for the week for Taurus, please? Flew down there. Okay, we have the Devil card. So we may... How's that happened? 2 of Wands is at the bottom of the deck there. 2. We may well have a situation where you find yourself kind of old feelings starting to surface again. Or new feelings about an old situation, actually. Because this process that you've been in of kind of cycling down into old situations to get that more insight and then coming back up again, you know, wiser on the other side. It's not complete and it never will be complete. So it's really important that you understand that, you know. How about this? Yeah. We've got the Hermit card. Ooh, we've got Emperor and the Judgment card have come out together there. So we have Strength at the bottom of the deck. This is a huge week for you, Taurus, and it could feel quite overwhelming at points, but by the same token, you are not the same person that you were the last time these kind of feelings crept up on you, and you've got a toolkit now that you didn't have before. It could well be a week where you see yourself withdrawing into yourself just a little bit, but it's kind of more of a tactical retreat than anything else, you know. We've got the possibility of an old situation arising again, possibly, or it could just be these old feelings, these old fears, ways in which you felt trapped, kind of surfacing up, and then it can feel a little bit suffocating, and you're just like, and then you remember who you are, right? You remember that you're a bull, not a cow. And you step back from the situation, tactical retreat, and assess it for what it is. Because when this sort of energy hits you, it is trying to show you something, right? And maybe it is a deeper layer of something that you've already explored. You know, you get to come down and see what's going on before. But every single card that's come out for you here is a major arcana card, right? This is big energy that's happening to you at the moment. And it does feel like overwhelming. A little overwhelming is the word that I would use there. But where you might have retreated before, and this is important and I want you to notice this, where you might have retreated before and then gone, oh my God, I'm a terrible person, you know, internalised this whatever has happened and gone, like, this is really awful. This does feel like beating a tactical retreat and going, okay, wait, I'm going to spread this all out on the table, have a look at it and work out what it is that's important about this. What is it about this situation that makes me feel afraid? Right? There's a huge signpost to something that needs dealing with. Where is it that I feel trapped, frustrated, stuck? Where is it that I feel actually kind of undermined as well? Like that word just came in there, undermined and questioned, challenged. Actually, this week does feel like it could see people challenging you on something. And rather than you sort of capitulating immediately and kind of rolling backwards with it, it's like taking this tactical retreat, looking at it and going, no, you have a point with this thing, but the rest of this is not true. Like the rest of this is projection. Could well just see spectres coming up. But there's a truth in this situation, you know, and it might well be that it's something that's so close to the end of your nose that you just have not noticed it before. The fact that the Emperor and the Hermit are here together indicates that you've got an opportunity, right, to really learn something quite profound from this experience if you really wanted to. I just noticed that the card that just flung itself across the floor there is the Temperance card. Where you are feeling challenged, where you are feeling undermined, where you are feeling any of these things, it's not about the person that's challenging you, it's about your response to it. Now you can mine this situation for, you know, incredible amounts of insight and really grow from this situation there, or you can choose to get up in your head about it. Now whichever way it goes, it's entirely down to you. But the fact that every single card here is major arcana means this is a really big opportunity for you to extract something of incredible value from it if you choose to do it. And I like to think, with the way that you've been going this year, that you can step back from the situation and see it for what it is, right? It is a teaching experience, it's a learning experience, right? Whew. Big energies. Tell me about love and relationships, please. Thank you. We have the Seven of Cups, so we have confusion. We have you not really knowing which way to turn with things. I think it's possible that if you are being challenged, it is by somebody that you care about. It doesn't feel like some random that you've met on the street here. I don't think that you would let it affect you to this extent if it was somebody that you didn't know. Tell me about the Seven of Cups. Chariot. And the Knight of Swords, yeah, like the lessons this week will be handed to you by people that you care about, with people with whom you have some sort of emotional investment, right? But the important thing, I'm going to reiterate this again, is not to feel persecuted or victimized by it, right? We've got the Knight of Swords, so we've got a potential conversation coming in. We've certainly got information landing, and it's coming in pretty hard and pretty fast, Taurus, and there might well be that it knocks you off your perch just a little bit. But the point of it is the Chariot. The point of it is an exercise in you shoring up who you are. Now, I'm not saying, like, you know, get your bull head down and then just start headbutting the situation. It's much more nuanced than that, and you are much more nuanced than that. If you step back from whatever this situation, whether this is a romantic relationship, friends, colleagues, co-workers, maybe even family members, whoever it is, if you step back from this situation just a little bit and have a look at what they've said, yes, it might be delivered quite sharply, and yes, it might sting a little bit, but like I said, what's going on underneath it is an opportunity for you to learn something more about yourself, go a bit deeper. Interestingly, we've got the Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck. It's a Scorpio card, but it talks about loss. It talks about focusing too hard on the wrong thing, It's the energy, it's the exact opposite of the energy that I want you to employ this week in your relationships. Rather than being stuck there and feeling persecuted, like I said, kind of step back from it a little bit, because you go from a state of confusion and bafflement to a real sense of understanding who you are, right? It feels like it's really refining your understanding of your own identity, and it's incredibly useful from that perspective. I've just noticed that the Strength card is also at the bottom of this deck now as well, right? Here is a massive opportunity for growth for you, Taurus, and you're not one to waste an opportunity if it comes in for you. But it's going to be challenging. Right, this whole set of cards here is going to be quite challenging for you. So tell me about material environment, about work and money. We've got the Knight of Wands. That's a good card. Somewhat opposite to your energy. That was the Sun that was at the bottom there. It is the card of Sagittarius, and it talks about being quite spontaneous, right? It talks about remaining kind of fluid with things. It's possibly the ability to be able to capitulate on opportunities. I was literally just saying that there. If they are coming in for you. And it feels like they might, but if they are, they won't be around for very long. And you actually will be required to make a decision pretty swiftly. We've got the King of Swords at the bottom of the deck, but we've got the Page of Swords and the Devil here. Now notice that the Page of Swords is kind of looking behind him. He's looking at this situation. There's a possibility that there's an opportunity that will show up for you at work And you might be so distracted by what this is here that you miss it, right? Because in fact, all of these characters, all of them, are pointing back here towards the Chariot. And that there's something a little bit intimidating about it. It's something that really plays on your fears. And it could just be that it's all linked in here, because don't forget that we've got the Devil card here too. Right? It's a week where the devil energy is kind of surrounding you quite hard. But none of this is beyond you. None of this is too challenging for you to be able to master. And it really does feel like detachment is your friend at this point. Objectivity is your friend. One more for that devil card, please. Yeah, we've got the Eight of Pentacles. 10 of Cups. Like, if you can possibly maintain this level of detachment, right, reflection, rather than kind of being drawn down into that Five of Cups, there are opportunities for growth in your personal relationships, but there are definitely opportunities for growth here in your material ones too. You know, the devil is the card of Capricorn, and he's not all bad. I don't see. Yes, he talks about toxicity and codependence and, you know, fear and all of these kind of things, but the material realm is, and every single bit of the material realm is, the purview of the devil, right? This Capricorn energy that we've got here. So there are opportunities surfacing in your material world if you can allow yourself not to get too distracted by what feels like a personal attack, right? If you're feeling attacked by anything this week, there's your sign. Stop, don't react, pull back, and stick your objective head on and go, what is this trying to teach me? Because there's something here, you know? And I honestly do feel like it's the truth. Like I said, it may be very sharply delivered, but if you can find a way not to feel, like I said, victimized or you know, persecuted by this, then there's a huge opportunity for healing and for growth. And the same goes with the work stuff here, you know? Wonderful. Right, so let's have a look and see what you should be focusing your energy on this week. Let me about focusing for Taurus. Justice. Now that is interesting, because we've got the Eight of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Now, justice obviously talks about fairness. It talks about achieving equilibrium. And whilst it's nice to be able to get everything fixed so that it's fair and so that it's even and all this sort of thing, it's a more impressive thing to be able to maintain your own equilibrium when everything is turning a bit chaotic around you. And the energy does feel a bit chaotic for you, Taurus. Justice card. Thank you. Yeah, we've got the Seven of Pentacles and we've got the Page of Cups. We've also got a star at the bottom of the deck here, right? We've got vulnerability, but we've got comfortable vulnerability. And I think that there's an aspect here of being shown a side of yourself that you didn't really know was how you perceived. And it feels like you can, once you understand that it's there, right? Once you understand that this is a way that some people see you, it's not that you change, but it's that you are more aware of it. It is that you are more conscious of it. It's almost like you've got the ability to be able to shave off what can be a kind of sharp edge on you, Taurus. And I think that you're oblivious to it. We've got the Seven of Pentacles here, which talks about a situation that is less than optimal for you, right? It's a kind of like, well, this is not yielding what I thought it would. But it's here with the Page of Cups. Right? Forgiveness, acceptance, compassion, whether for yourself or for someone else, right? It is hugely important this week. Being open to a message that is not comfortable for you, right, is the way forward. That's where the growth is. All the tools you want to grow are in the places that you don't want to look, right? I forget where that quote came from, but I really, really like it because it's sort of on point for you this week. Now, with this Eight of Cups here, with the Justice card, I can't get away from the fact that there's healing for you in this week if you choose to accept it, right? If you choose to sit with compassion for yourself and an openness to receiving the message, you can leave behind something that's actually been troubling you quite a bit that you did not realize. Like, it's a week of being triggered. This is what this is, Taurus. Like, it's a week of being really, really triggered. And where this might have sent you into an apoplexy, right, an internal apoplexy at some point, you come so far along the road now that it is possible for you to understand, where perhaps you didn't before, that this energy shows you something truly important. Right? It's an opportunity to gold mine something that you don't look at very often, right? And it's being brought right here so that you cannot ignore it, right? Openness, acceptance. What should Taurus avoid this week? Five of Pentacles, yeah. Avoid feeling hard done by, right? The Five of Pentacles talks about poverty and it talks about lack, and it's the second 5 card that's appeared here for you. Like I said, the energy of this week is challenging, but not too challenging for you, you know, provided you don't fall into these old traps, you know, of 5 of Cups energy, kind of really obsessing over what it is that you've lost here, or feeling like you are somehow abandoned, isolated, kicked out of something, right? It's a measure of maturity to be able to take on, you know, criticism and be like, all right, this is useful. Right, provided it's constructive criticism. I mean, if somebody's just being a bitch, then they're being a bitch. If somebody's projecting really hard, then they're projecting really hard. But the interesting thing is, even if those things are true, there is an opportunity for growth for you in looking at that and looking at how you respond to it, you know. If you kind of shrink down into yourself, if you allow yourself to be destabilized by the situation, which is kind of what these 2 cards are talking about, right? We're talking about inner stability here and we're talking about inner instability here. If you allow that to happen, this opportunity passes you by. And it does feel somewhat of a gift for you, Taurus. I'm not going to lie. Tell me about this 5 of Pentacles. Yeah. Look, we've got the Wheel of Fortune and we've got Death here. Oof, we've got the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. So I can't get over how much major arcana energy there is for you here in this week, right? This is a really profound week. It's really, really big. The temptation will be to fall into feeling sorry for yourself, feeling victimized by fate, feeling like it's the universe kicking you in the teeth again and everything's going wrong and everything's ending. Whew, big ringing in my ear there. But it's the wrong perspective, right? If you can shift your perspective and look at this differently, you can see a truth in here, and it's a truth that changes your perspective altogether. You can't have this much major arcana energy in a week's reading, Taurus, without it really feeling like it's shaking your foundations a little bit. But like I said, it feels like it's coming in now because you can deal with it, because you are now at this point where you've got this ability to detach, where you understand your value a little bit more. You know, this is adding more to that pot for you. So we move on to Gemini. Can I have a card for Gemini, please? Thank you. We have the Empress card. That's wonderful. It's a card that speaks of fertility, abundance, you know, new things coming into the world. It's a very creative card, very powerful. It's a Taurian card. It's very nurturing. It can talk about, you know, the birth of something new. Whether those are new ideas, whether those are ideas that you've had that you are now bringing to fruition. It's a very gentle energy, but it's also very powerful. Yes, please. Oh, this is really interesting. It's really, really interesting because the two cards that have come up here with the Judgment card are the Queen of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles. And I'm smiling because I'm sure the Queen of Wands came up for you in the monthly reading last month, where we were talking about your fear of being seen, right? Now, she's here, and it feels a little bit like if the event of being seen isn't showing up this week, then it's you making a judgment on that in some way or another, right? The Queen of Wands and the Empress are highly visible figures, hugely visible, right? Everybody knows who the Queen of Wands is. There's no mistake about that at all. Aries energy, right? It's very, very prominent. Everybody knows who the Empress is. Like, she's literally the archetypal mother, right? She's here for everyone. But with the Judgment card there to the side, we've got you making a judgment on your visibility, right? On the need for your visibility. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. It's Virgo energy, but it's talking about, you know, proceeding slowly, right? This whole week for you, you might be emotionally challenging yourself on how it is that the being seen issue really applies to you. Or it could be that here now are the opportunities. Here are the ways in which you are required to be seen, and how are you going to deal with that, right? I think it's very positive, actually. But there's no need for you to run before you can walk, and I think that that's part of what's been very intimidating for you. You can take slow steps on this one, whether it's in the way that you are actually seen or the way that you emotionally approach being seen, right? Little small steps. Remembering to validate yourself the whole way along the line, right? We're not looking for any external thing. When you're coming from a place of truth, and I know I've just heard this, when you come from a place of truth and you are absolutely comfortable with that, when it resonates through every thread of your being, whether it falls on deaf ears or whether it's rapturously received, it doesn't actually make any difference, right? It's nice for everybody to go, you're brilliant, you're wonderful, like, we love you, right? But whatever it is that you're engaged with now, it does feel like soul purpose, and it has felt like soul purpose for months. And so having it well received is all very good and nice and stuff, but it doesn't actually stop the feeling that you have to do this thing, right? If it's falling on deaf ears and you're not getting the kind of exposure that you want, that still doesn't matter if it's your sole purpose thing. You know, it's not a numbers game here, and you know that. But I wonder if this is the week where you realize how much you've been getting in your own way, Gemini, again, because of this fear of getting seen, fear of being observed. You know, there's a vulnerability that comes with it that is quite uncomfortable sometimes. But if you are truly pursuing your soul purpose, and I think for most of you, Gemini, that's absolutely what you're doing, you've got to trust that the message that you have is going to get to the right ears, right? And whether that is 2 people or 2,000 people, it doesn't actually matter at this point, because you're doing what you're supposed to do. And maybe what you're supposed to do is only supposed to affect 2 people, you know? But those 2 people may have such a profound change in their life off the back of what it is that you are doing, that it changes everything. Right? We're none of us separated. That's a total illusion. Like, we are all one and the same. And these ripples in the pond that you're getting, although it feels frustrating because it's not quite getting there yet, if it got where you wanted it to go, Gemini, would you even be comfortable with it at this point, or would you freak out? Would you have a complete meltdown? Because I actually kind of think it would be the latter. This opportunity to work through these things slowly is in preparation for where this goes next, and you shouldn't really lose sight of that at any point, because you're doing what you're supposed to do. All right, let's have a look at your love and relationships. What the fuck? I'm like flying over there. So we have the Knight of Wands, which is quite a fun energy. It's a very light energy. You know, you can look at it and be very disapproving and say it's very non-committal and all that sort of thing. And yeah, do you know what it is? But sometimes you just need to give yourself a bit of a break. I actually see you spending time this week, Gemini, around people who kind of exude the effortless ability to be seen. That is what it is that you are chasing at the moment. Ooh. Yeah. And it's a week of you, it is a week of you really, really getting to grips with this. We've got the Five of Swords at the bottom of the deck, but we've got the Ten of Swords and we've got the Devil here. Now, whoever this person is, and this is Sagittarian energy here, it might be a Sagittarius. It almost certainly will be a fire sign, or with someone with very strong fire sign placements, right? Somebody that you can observe, right? And you just see how it's about looking beyond, right? And Gemini, this is something that you can do very, very well when you remember to do it, right? When you're not here kind of freaking out about things. It's a kind of, there's an element of active engagement with somebody like this, but there's also a passive observation, right? Almost like a subconscious observation, picking apart and processing how this person shows up in the world that is different to the way that you show up in the world, right? And with these two cards underneath here, this Ten of Swords and this Devil energy, you know, at the root of this, there's an absolute fear of being fucked over if you are vulnerable, if you blow yourself up in the way that you actually feel like you're being required to here. There's a fear of rejection, there's a fear of things going wrong. There's fear. Fear. And what is it that's different about this person? Why do they not fear? You know, it feels like the cogs are turning with you really, really hard. And with this, both active engagement and passive observation of this person, or maybe a group of people, you know, however it applies, I see you relating it to yourself, right? And it giving you some insight into the way that you do things and why you're so afraid. You know, it's like the undercurrent of what's going on here is so much bigger than you had thought. You know, it's been quite a surface thing, like this isn't going the way that I thought it was, this is quite frustrating, but the subtle energies that are at play here are all kind of pushing you towards looking at this thing, right? Really taking it on board and applying your Gemini intellect and you know, high spiritual wisdom to what is going on within you. Very subtle, very nuanced, if you choose to look for it. And this week, Gemini, I do think that you choose to look for it. And it'll be a week that is full of insights that come as a result, you know. Let's look at your money and materials and work and all that sort of thing. What do we have here? We have the Three of Pentacles. It's a card of cooperation and collaboration. It's about working with other people. But interestingly for you, on this Three of Pentacles card, we actually have a singular person depicted, right? Usually there are three, or working together on some sort of project. Now, the Three of Pentacles message is still the same. It's still about working with other people, but maybe this week you need to pull back and do some aspect of something yourself. Like, I quite like the fact that there's a spider's web there, just hanging off that tree. I don't know if the camera picks it up there, but it's kind of drifting off like that. I always feel like it's kind of internet-based stuff. It might be that you can't physically be with the people that you are working with this week, but there's plenty for you to be getting on with by yourself, right? And if you do need to make contact with people, then, you know, the internet is fine. It's there for you to use in exactly that way. Tell me about the Three of Pentacles, please. We have the World card. And we have the Four of Wands. This is very interesting because this feels like you're kicking things up a little bit of a notch, or getting ready to kick things up a notch this week, Gemini. It's possibly as a result of the insights that you're getting into the other stuff. Because we've got the World card here, and then we've got the Four of Wands. The World card is about an ending, right? It's about a graduation of sorts, if you like, right? It's the very end of the major arcana. It is the end of a big cycle in your life. And then we have, you know, you constructing a new foundation, one where you are happy and celebrating. And, you know, it's the card of home here. This is a shift away from things. And what it feels like is this other aspect of the reading here, what it is that's really taking up your time in this week, is profoundly and inexorably kind of attached to what it is that you're trying to do. Well, we've already established this already, right? So this last bit is the last piece of the puzzle. This is how you get to close out this cycle here and start actively constructing something different, actively engaging with a different way of doing things. Because actually now I'm looking at this card, it does look to me like, you know, just tying up loose ends on the end of a project, possibly, but definitely on the end of the way that you have been doing things so far. It doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you're going to be finishing doing, you know, or you're going to stop doing what it is that you're doing and you're going to do something else. It feels more building than that. So what we've got is you kind of tying up loose ends this week, whether they are emotional loose ends or, you know, actual work-related loose ends, whatever it is, and getting ready to start something new. And it's practical. It's absolutely practical, because what we don't have are these, you know, ephemeral aces kind of wandering around here, you know, or indicating that potential and stuff like this. This is tangible, going straight onto this next thing. And if it is revolving all around this idea of being seen, which it does seem to be for you, having the confidence to really put yourself out there, then you're leapfrogging these aces and you're going straight to the Four of Wands. I know actually what I want, and this is how I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to show up in this way. I think that's pretty cool for you, Gemini, actually. So let's have a look at the do this, don't do that. What should be the point of focus for Gemini this week, please? Justice. That's interesting. That just came up for Taurus too. We've got the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck, and can't help but feel like these two women they're at least acquainted. Even if they're not bezies, and they do kind of feel like they're best friends to me. You know, they're both hanging out in the woods, as you do. I mean, I do. Pretty sure some of you do too. Justice is all about balance. About internal balance, yes, but also external balance. It's it's understanding the consequences. And it's exactly as broad as that. This is the second time I've cut a deck. I cut that one and then the Ace of Wands was in the middle. I've cut this one and the Ace of Wands is in the middle as well. It's an opportunity to objectively assess the consequences of doing things the way that you have always done them, right? Because now there is the knowledge that there is that thing underneath that has always been keeping you just a little bit less Gemini than you could be, right? Just kind of like, no, don't put yourself out there too much. Don't be too extra. Don't pull too much attention towards yourself. Yeah, the Justice card. I've got the Ten of Pentacles. And we've got the Magician. This is beautiful. We've got the Ace of Swords now appearing here. And this is wonderful because this ace energy is now supporting what it is that you are doing, right? The new opportunities are kind of opening up at a rate of knots as you deal with that thing that has been the blockage for you for such a long time. Now, we've got the Ten of Pentacles and we've got the Magician card here. And the Magician card for me is a card of Gemini. I know some people say Virgo, but I'm like, fuck, I can't see that at all, right? If I create as I speak, abracadabra, that's fucking Gemini all day long, right? With the Ten of Pentacles, we've got commitment, right? We've got heritage, we've got legacy, we've got all of those things, right? What is the legacy that you're wanting to leave, Gemini? You know, really take a moment to think about your goals this week. What is it that you were setting out to achieve in the first place? And what are you learning about yourself in the process? Because all of this is actually a really subtle power-up that you're not even noticing is happening at the moment, right? It's expressing itself in frustration with things not moving the way that you want to, but what you're not seeing is how much of your kind of background shit you are sorting out. We've got a refining of your intention. It's getting sharper and sharper and sharper. At some point, when you really let that fly, it's just laser-like. It's just going to hit exactly the thing that you want. So if that is business success, then that is all cool. If it is about creating, you know, a legacy, then that's cool too. Even if it's just about making yourself stable and secure, moving forwards, that's cool too. Yeah, maybe you're getting ready to set up a business. Maybe you already have done. Maybe you're wanting to move house or something like that. That's also possible. All the ways in which you are feeling thwarted, right, at the moment, they're all opportunities for you to be able to shift how it is that you're turning up and intending for these things to happen, right? It's all about your balance, because you do feel out of balance at the moment, right? It really does feel like for a lot of you, you're trying to do something using your intuition, definitely spiritually based and spiritually guided in some sort of way. You want to let this energy work through you, but at the same time, you're so very uncomfortable with letting people see you that it's kind of almost thwarting yourself, right? It's a big week for reflecting on everything. Yeah. Let's have a look. What should Gemini avoid this week? Oh, thank you. We've got the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. You should absolutely avoid kind of backing off from something because it feels like it's touching too deep a trigger for you, right? You're literally being pointed towards what it is that's holding you back. And it's a missed opportunity if you don't work with that energy. Yeah, we've got the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. What are you? And the Eight of Swords. I mean, holy fuck, right? Absolutely avoid this. Don't shy away from anything here this week, right? If it feels like it's uncomfortable, if it makes you feel a little bit like, then that's where you go deeper, right? This week is about leaning into the discomfort, whatever that is, in whatever way that expresses itself. We've got the Queen of Pentacles here, right? Don't sabotage yourself by pulling away from it, right? This card is all about self-care. It's about nurturing. It's about looking after yourself, right? Don't abandon your needs right now because they're showing themselves to you very, very clearly. Don't let yourself get stuck in your own head, right? Detachment is key for you. It is important this week, but it's kind of like widening your perspective and narrowing your perspective at the same time, right? Not narrowing your perspective, narrowing your focus and broadening your perspective, right? It's a real week for learning a lot about yourself. That's how the energy is presenting for you this week. I like it. I like it. So let's move on to Cancer. Gonna have the theme for the week for Cancer, please. We have, it's the Three of Pentacles again. So teamwork, cooperation, collaboration, these are the watchwords of this card. We talk about really sort of getting stuck into something and often working with other people to do this, right? Now, I do see the Three of Pentacles sometimes as kind of working with ourselves instead of against ourselves, you know. Working with maybe the energies as they're coming in rather than trying to fight them, you know. Goodness. Yeah, okay, so fucking hell. It's a subtle week. The energy is very subtle now. So we've got the moon card under here. it's a week of groundwork, right? And this can feel, you know, it could feel at times like it's just a little bit tedious, but it's a week for really paying attention to the little things, tidying up in whatever sense that applies, Cancer, because the 3 cards that have come out underneath it are all cards of the new. Right? We have the Fool. That's massive. That's a whole new direction that you're going off in, right? The start of a new cycle. We've got the Ace of Swords, which is, again, you know, a starting off card. We've got pure potential there. Creative thinking, certainly. But new ways to be able to express yourself, new ways to perceive the world, right? And let's see the swords, because it's all like mental and intellectual up here, right? Communication based. We use our brain to process the information from the world that comes in, and this week sees you getting new insights for things. We're laying the ground for the new to come in. Like I said, it's about details at this point. We've got the Page of Pentacles there also supporting this. There's so much new on the way in, right, that it's worth taking a bit of time this week to really make sure that you've tidied up everything. And this could be in all sorts of ways, you know, relationships, work, your finances, maybe just in terms of getting things fixed around the house, you know, stuff like that. Maybe if you're intending to move or something, you know, it's all about the details, not the big picture. The big picture is taking care of itself this week. What you do to help bring that in is take care of the small things, the little details. So let's have a look at love and relationships with Cancer this week, please. So we've got 2 cards. We have the 5 of Wands and we have the 3 of Wands. Okay, so we have, you know, the potential for a little bit of strife going on that might see you kind of looking in a very present fashion, in a very kind of objective fashion, looking at your life and going, is all of this kind of worth it? Am I actually really involved? As emotionally involved in this as I thought I was, you know? It might be that there's a few flashpoints here. And like I said, this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. This could be friends, co-workers, colleagues, family, whatever, you know, it's your interpersonal relationships. There's definitely possibly some petty squabbles, things like that, but I see you kind of looking at everything going, really? Now, you might have done this a year ago, but you'd have thrown yourself back in with gusto. Now it feels you're kind of pulling back a little bit from it and going, oh, is any of this even really worth it, you know? Yeah. What do we have here? Oh, that's very interesting. Puts another big spin on it, because we've got the World and we've got the 4 of Swords. Right? Could well be that you end up coming to a flashpoint with someone who's actually been getting on your fucking nerves for a while, Cancer. It's like things come to a head, and actually what I see here is you valuing your peace more than this relationship. This is a huge step forward for you, Cancer, and one that indicates the end of a major cycle for you. It could be that you end up turning your back on this person. You're just like, no, do you know what, 4 of Swords, far more important than what this is. But whatever it is, I don't see you engaging to the same level that you would have done before, right? So even if you don't turn your back on this person, you don't walk away from them altogether, I do see you kind of taking a break from them, coming back and going like, I'll see you when you've sorted yourself out. Like, I don't have to sit here and listen to this. I love you, but I'm going over there. Right? Let me know when you've calmed down, that sort of thing. It's going to be kind of a bit tempestuous. Like I said, it does feel like things might blow up a little bit this week, but it's a huge step forward for you to even consider walking away from it, to actually walk away from it, or to just go, I'll be over there when you're ready, you know? I like this for you a lot. Let's look at your material environment. Tell me about money and work and things. I have the Hierophant. It's good. Doesn't indicate much going on, to be honest. It's careful, slow-moving energy. Tell me about this. What do we have here? Okay. So So the two cards that have come out have actually made this Hierophant mean something entirely different here. We've got the Two of Swords and we've got the Four of Cups. It looks to me like you are not appreciated where it is that you are, and you know this. It doesn't feel like you are either being remunerated in a fair way, or there's just no appreciation for what it is that you do. You know, you're working very hard and not seeing the return on this. It's certainly not emotionally fulfilling you at this point, right? So that where the Two of Swords would be a kind of ignoring all of the red flags and that sort of thing, right? When it's coming up in the reverse here, it's you making decisions about things, right? With your eyes wide open about everything. It could be that, you know, you've had some internal rumblings of late about your work and what it is that you do. How maybe it feels like it isn't actually progressing in the way that you wanted it to, which, you know, is possible if you're employed or self-employed, you know, whatever it is. But I'm kind of getting a feeling of you slowly realizing that you're kind of stuck where you are, right? Whether it's because you can't progress because you kind of got to you know, the top of where you are, or whether it is that there are people involved who are kind of blocking you and there's no way for you to kind of progress through it, or if you've got your own business and you're kind of like, everything's a little bit stale, like I'm just getting up every day and it's like Groundhog fucking Day, and I'm not actually getting any kind of fulfillment from this in the way that I thought I would do. It's interesting that we've got the Six of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So this could be a week where you find yourself kind of contemplating the possibility of change, of doing something different, because you're looking at the whole situation now. Like, that's what I'm seeing. All the scales have fallen from your eyes a little bit. It feels like you're getting some perspective on stuff, possibly with a view to changing up what you do. And I think, actually, now I've said that, I think it's almost certainly with a view to changing some aspect of what it is that you do. And, you know, these could be very small changes that make your work-life balance just a little bit more comfortable, or they could be something really quite profound. It depends on you and what it is that you want here. But I can't help but feel, well, everything is, right? The way these things are related here, it's almost like the relationship stuff is kind of like a catalyst that gets you off thinking about every other aspect of your life. And you're like, actually, do you know what? It'd be really nice if I just had, you know, 4 hours a week where I could do something else. So maybe I'm looking at changing down to part-time for what I'm doing, or maybe, you know, maybe the money situation could be better. So maybe I'm going to take on a few more hours, you know, but it feels more emotionally based to me. So it feels more like you kind of want to spend less time doing what it is that you do and a little bit more time doing something that actually, you know, feels better for you. I've just noticed that we've got the Tower at the bottom of the deck there, which is interesting because it really does feel like a week of shake-ups. And to that end, it would absolutely, you know, go hand in hand with this idea of tying up loose ends with things, because there's some sort of shift happening, there's some sort of change, and it might end up being bigger than you anticipate at this point, right? In so much as it may open doors for you on things that you hadn't seen before. But there's certainly a freshening up of your thinking going on, Cancer, which I really do like quite a lot. So let's look at the point of focus. What should Cancer be focusing on this week? The Chariot. This is wonderful because not only is it the card of Cancer, but it is also a card of determination, drive, goal setting and achieving those goals, right? It's about being fundamentally very, very driven about what it is that you want to do. And this is why I love it, because it's all about you. It's all about what you want to achieve. It's all about you kind of noticing all the ways in which you've been feeling. And this stale thing is kind of coming up again and again, where things are feeling stale and where you can kind of inject a little bit more something into it, whether it's passion or whether it's just emotional contentment, whether it's a bit of fucking peace. See you really going after your peace, actually. Cancer, tell me about the Chariot. Chariot. Thank you. Oh, I mean, really? Could that be any better? We've got the Nine of Cups and we've got the Four of Wands. This whole reading could well be about your work-life balance, right? We've got the Chariot there, you, but also what it is that you are wanting from your life, you know, what it is that you want to achieve. And then we've got the card that speaks about you and your personal contentment, how happy you are with everything, right? And then we've got the Four of Wands, card of celebration and happiness and joy. It is my card of home, right? That is, and that isn't just your four walls. That is, you know, the people that you surround yourself in, the things that you spend your time doing that you really enjoy. These should be the focus points for you this week. And if anything feels like it doesn't, you know, does it spark joy? Yes, keep it. Does it, if it doesn't spark joy, fucking bin it, right? That's how it feels here. And it feels increasingly more like you are able to make those kind of sharper decisions without necessarily taking on board, you know, what would have in the past held you back, which is other people's opinions and other people's needs. You know, you've spent far too much time putting everybody else's needs in front of your own. And that shift now, it's got a catalyst, for sure. Taking care of the small things, right? No, it's getting ready to move off into something else. So what should Cancer avoid this week? Oh, what do we have here? Oh. So we have the Six of Cups in reverse, and we also have the Ace of Wands, which is interesting because the Ace of Wands is a really good card. And there is this feeling of the new things coming in. But what it's saying is don't start anything new yet. Right? The energy isn't quite in the right place. It's like you need to spend a little bit more time really understanding what it is that you want before you start actioning it, because the Ace of Wands is all about action. It's about taking the first steps in things, right? It's about the way that you live. It's the way that you experience life. Don't start it yet because all of the loose ends have not yet been tied up in the right way. The Six of Cups is quite interesting because that's a card of the past. It's a card of not going back to the past, right? It could be that have you made some decisions in your life, Cancer, that you kind of regret because you made them too fast, you know? There wasn't what was missing was measured consideration before you took these decisions, you know? Let's have a look at another card here for the Six of Cups. Shit. It just came flying out of here. What do we have here? Well, we have the Five of Swords in the upright and we have the Six of Pentacles in the reverse. Right. Beware of falling into old thought patterns with things, old behaviours, allowing yourself to be destabilised internally by old situations, right? Not old situations, old responses to situations. Like you're growing, you're moving out beyond this now. What would be the biggest thing that would trip you up would be you engaging in self-sabotage, because kind of going back to the familiar is what makes you feel better about things, right? You don't want to go too far forward in what it is that you're actually doing at the moment, but you also don't want to be creeping backwards. The energy this week is all about in the here and now. Do not fall into old thought patterns where, you know, you kind of start beating yourself up about things, and also don't engage with people who are trying to fuck with your peace, right? The sort of people who will say anything to win the situation, and frankly, they never used to have to say too much to win a situation with you, because you would just sort of capitulate and you would put them first, right? Don't do that. And don't let anybody make you feel less than this week. I mean, that should be just a fucking rule for life anyway, but pay particular attention to it this week. If there is somebody who is making you feel some kind of way, then that is a huge flag, right? And it is pointing towards this conflict, this aggression. It actually feels quite aggressive, not in a physically aggressive way, but just in a, you know, even in its pettiness, it feels really aggressive. This whole week's about you being peaceful, kind of pulling back, detaching, going within possibly if needs be, but with a view to what it is that you're going to bring in for yourself in the future, right? And what it is that you need to tie up in the interim in order to make that happen. I hope that makes sense. Right. So we'll move on to Leo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant, for the 26th of April to the 2nd of May. Let's have a look for the theme for the week for Leo, please. Ooh, what do we have there? We have the Five of Pentacles. It's difficult energy, Leo. It's an energy of feeling lack, right? Whether or not that exists, and I'll pull some clarifiers to see what the situation is at the moment. It could be financial, but it could very well be a fear of lack, right? It could be a perspective thing that we've got going on here. So much in the way that we found recently, it's very frustrated energy. It's an energy of, you know, feeling like you're thwarted at every corner. Tell me about this Five of Pentacles. Thank you. We have got Judgment. Well, we've got the Three of Swords and we have the Eight of Swords too. I mean, this is really challenging energy, Leo. There's no doubt about that for this week. It seems like everything that you try and do, you're just hitting a brick wall against it. But there's something more subtle at play here, and this is what I say, this is why I'm talking about it being a perspective thing. We do have the King of Swords and the Tower at the bottom of the deck here, and this is quite interesting, because I wonder if it is that you're trying to shake things up a little bit, Leo, and everything, because everything just feels so very flat at the moment. Everything seems just so stuck, you know. There's a Groundhog Day element to this, and it's like you're getting up and you're doing the same thing over and over again, and I feel like there are kind of bigger things that you're trying to bring in towards you at this point, but the time isn't quite right, not yet. And the nuanced thing that's going on underneath is this, right? We've got the Judgment card here, and that could see you questioning your judgment this week. You know, am I really doing the right thing? Am I supposed to be trying to shake things up in the way that I am? Am I trying to do bigger things? Should I be trying to do bigger things, or should I just be sitting with what I've got? But what I've got feels so unsatisfactory at the moment. You know, I've got my eyes on bigger things. The thing is, it's kind of pulling you back to the here and now, and this could be a week where you find there is a flare-up of self-doubt. There is a flare-up of things that wound for you. And it could be very easy to fall into a victimized state of mind about this, to be just like, well, fuck's sake, it doesn't matter what I do, it always goes wrong, you know. That to me feels like the wrong way to approach this, because like I said, it is all about perspective this week. You are limiting the way that you are thinking, and it's possible that you've just got very single-minded on a goal, right? And it's just like you're doing everything that you can to bring this goal to bear, but actually you haven't finished dealing with some of the old stuff. There is old stuff that needs to be closed out properly before you can move forwards. You know, we've got two cards that speak of judgment here, both Judgment and the King of Swords. The King of Swords tells me that your judgment is pretty good, but this Tower that's sat here, you know, it feels like hasty moves for you this week will lead to a Tower sort of situation, right? The potential of it is sat there behind the King of Swords. Whereas if you take your time with things, if you sit in a reflective state this week, if you ponder on the ways in which you are feeling thwarted, you know, look at them, pull back, and spend a bit of time thinking about whether it's you that's being thwarted, or whether it's just not time for this thing to come in, because it really doesn't feel like it's time quite yet. And I know I hate giving that message, because, you know, I'm a Leo too, and I hate that. But I think it came up in your monthly reading that you'd been gifted some time to take care of details, to take care of small things, to wrap up old stuff. And the movement forwards that you want was not yet open to you. And if you continue down that road, not only are you going to make hasty decisions that will, you know, lead you to potentially a Tower, Five of Pentacles kind of situation in the future, But it's also kind of hamstringing the effect of the new when it comes in, right? Because it can't show up in its fullest extent because you haven't made the room for it yet, Leo. It's going to be a challenging week, for sure. But going with it rather than fighting it, and dealing with these little triggers and the wounds that as they come up, the self-doubt, all of this sort of thing, will put you better placed for what's coming in next, right? Because there's no doubt in my mind that there is a next here, but you haven't cleared out to the fullest extent that you could. Now, you've been given an opportunity to heal stuff, to work out details of things, you know, to really put in the groundwork. And this is the important thing here. If you skip on the groundwork, what is coming in will just not bloom in the way that it's supposed to. If you get your head down and you work at this, Leo, and it does rankle somewhat to have to say that, then the expansion when it happens will be something that's worthy of Leo, you know? Sorry, dudes. Right, tell me about love and relationships, please. Ooh, I'm going to take that one because it fell. We've got the Sun. That's really, really wonderful. We've also got the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck there, which is quite nice. The Sun is your card, right? That's the card of Leo. Where the card of, because there are two, where the other card of Leo is Strength, and it talks about that perseverance and endurance and all those kind of difficult things. Your relationships this week seem like they're actually something quite restorative in there for you with them. You know, they're the places where you can show up and be you. There's an element of vulnerability here implied by this, but it's comfortable vulnerability. So whatever it is that you're struggling with, it could be that your relationships are good places to turn for that. And they don't have to be romantic ones. They can be friends, work colleagues, you know, family, whoever. It doesn't really matter. But they feel very positive. This week, your relationships will be a shining light in what is, in other ways, you know, a bit of a crock of shit. It's how it feels until you switch your perspective on it. Tell me about the Sun, please. We've got the Four of Swords in the World, which is nice. Because the Four of Swords for me is a card of peace, right? Your relationships this week are very peaceful. And like I said, restorative. There's something quite healing and regenerative about the relationships that you have in whatever sense that they apply. It does not feel to me like the relationships are the source of what it is that's causing you to doubt this week, but they will be the source of what helps you kind of step back. Now, remember that I was saying about tying up all the loose ends, like tidying up. That's what's going on here. Getting ready to kind of leave a lot of stuff behind. I'm not suggesting that your relationships are what you're leaving behind, but they're actually the thing that help you find your peace, find your respective perspective, and find the ways in which you can kind of step back from that heaving morass of stuff that just isn't quite going right this week, right? You can find sanctuary, there's the word that I'm after, sanctuary in your personal relationships this week. And that's really good for Leo anyway. I mean, we're apparently sociable creatures, you know, but even the introverted amongst us have that small, you know, solid group that just know, they just get you, you know. And more than that this week, they seem to be playing a really pivotal part in helping prop you up, right? Where the self-doubt hits, where the possible self-sabotage and limited thinking comes in. You know, we've got this whole group of people, or maybe one singular person, you know, depending on what it is, who are kind of helping you get your internal energetic battery up a little bit more so that you can kind of look at this in the right way, right? When a Leo is on point, right, and things feel like they're going really good, Leo is a completely unstoppable force. But when Leo kind of sinks a little bit and struggles, we can become the agents of our own destruction, right? So this week it's about knowing where to put your energy. And your energy isn't in trying to fly forwards. It's actually in enjoying the relationships that you have around you and taking a fairly pragmatic and practical approach to all of the challenges that kind of come up. And it feels like they're low level boring shit that comes up this week, and you're just kind of like, fuck's sake, fuck's sake, fuck's sake. But they're all important and they're all necessary, and although they're not like the big picture exciting new start that you want, they're important too. Lean on your friends this week, lean on your your emotional support networks where they are, and let them feed you, right, in the way that you need, because it seems you seem very tired, Leo. You're very tired, and you've got a good group of people, a good person, good family, whoever. You've got some good people around you who will perceive this, and they're not going to make a big song and dance about it. They're just going to be there, and them being there is enough for you. Let's have a look at work and money and materials. Whoa, what do we have here? We have the Two of Swords and we have the Ten of Swords. So Leo, it looks like this is the area in which you're feeling completely thwarted. We do have the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. That is the card that talks to me about a new perspective, like seeing, well, it's one of the cards, seeing things in a different way, because your brain is the biological processing machine that takes in all the input from the world, right? And it's there that your perspective is formed on something, right? So what may seem like a minor hiccup to somebody, for you this week is going to feel like it's just the fucking end. The Two of Swords and the Ten of Swords, right? The Two of Swords is that lack of movement. It is feeling stuck, right? It's wanting to make decisions but not actually being able to. And I feel for you, certainly where your work and your money and your materials are concerned, that it's a week of just pure frustration. Right? Maybe you're wanting to expand, you can't expand. Maybe you're wanting to start something new, you can't start something new, right? It's just this, it's like trying to run when you've got like something connected around your waist, you get so far and then you just get yanked back and you're like, for God's sake, This week it's about taking the sword, and kind of walking back to to this elastic and just sort of starting the process of cutting it rather than trying to run while it's still attached to your back. Yeah, we've got the Four of Wands here, which is a card of celebration and enjoyment, right? It is often my card of home as well. We've got you absolutely leaning on the support network that's around you a little bit this week. Maybe they're the ones that got to kind of pull the elastic back for you. So you can saw through it. I don't know where I'm going with that analogy, right? But it's frustrating. We've got the Ten of Swords. Like both of these cards, I mean, look at them. We've got a lot of overthinking going on here. We've got a lot of false starts. Going down a route thinking that it will be, useful and good, and then just having it cut off. And feeling stuck. I mean, fuck, look, we've got the Ten of Swords and the Devil card there. Let me give these a shuffle and then we'll pull some clarifiers for it. But the important thing, the really important thing, look, there we've got the Ace of Swords and the Hanged Man there, is that this is all a question of perspective. Like I said, you're almost trying to run before you can walk on this one, Leo. Like, take care of the groundwork first. Tell me about the Two of Swords and the Ten of Swords. We've got the two of, yeah. We've got the Justice card, which talks all about balance, right? And sometimes we can talk about, contracts and, legal things that we're trying to get sorted, and we could even see this not necessarily even in terms of work. We could see it in terms of, maybe you're trying to buy a house, maybe you're trying to rent a house, it's like every avenue that you try and explore, somebody's already fucking got there first, that sort of thing here. But what we have you working on here is your own internal stability, because you do feel like you're being a bit rocked by the fact that things aren't opening up the way that you want them to do. It's where you were kind of relatively patient for a Leo to start with. You're like, okay, this is fine. Like, this is it's not this one, it's obviously the next one, or it's not this opportunity, it's obviously the next one. It's not this promotion, it'll be the next one. You started off with that kind of way of thinking, and now it's like, are you fucking kidding? Like, again, really? Okay, fine, great. It's kind of falling back into that way of thinking about things, and it's knocking you off your perch, Leo, is what it's doing. Right? It's the Six of Pentacles, right? Another card that talks about balance right there, right? Tell me about this Two of Swords and Ten of Swords. Two of Swords and Ten of Swords is clarified by the Two of Swords. Yeah, we've got the Four of Cups here, Leo. And there's the Strength card at the bottom of the deck, right? This needs to be endured. This needs to be kind of processed and worked through. There is growth potential here for you, but like I said, it's all about the groundwork at this point. So, you know, where are you trying to run before you can walk? You know, what is it that you've not closed out properly that will allow the new things to come in, right? If you're wanting to move house, you know, what do you actually need to do to get that happening, right? You find the house that you want, but, you know, have you applied for a mortgage? Have you got the money in the bank, you know? Maybe even down to clearing out your house, you know? And in terms of work, see it in similar sort of ways, you know? Have you got work projects outstanding? Have you got things that you should be doing that you haven't done because you've been kind of gunning for this new thing here? Like, the frustration's not going to lift until you start dealing with those things. And the problem is that you're going to have to try and deal with those things while you're stuck in this kind of mindset here, which is really, really awful. Now, it's really challenging energy, but the underlying message here is that it is not about the thing that you're trying to bring towards you. It's not about the thing that you're trying to achieve. It is about actually working through this energy here. You know, so where you are frustrated, where you are feeling incredibly impatient, where you are feeling like you're being kicked in the teeth by the universe, right? Just remember that everything happens for a reason. Step back from this. What is this energy teaching you? What are you being gifted time to sort out, right? Like, where is your perspective set so far ahead that you cannot see what is right in front of you? Because it does seem to be what is right in front of you that you're kind of tripping over in your, you know, attempt to get to the new thing. It's hideously frustrating, but that's where you need to work on things. Because the Eight of Pentacles is not about instant gratification. It's about really, you know, studying at these things. And for you, Leo, like, you've become such an evolved creature now anyway. I think you've just forgotten, you know, that actually challenging shit happens, and it isn't always, it's not you've forgotten, you kind of pulled back into a sort of frame of mind. And I'm not saying that you should accept it, but like, notice what it is that you've lost sight of while you've been scrabbling trying to get to the new. That's how it feels. So what should Leo focus on this week? Three of Wands, the here and the now. What is right in front of you right now, Leo? I mean, it could barely be more fucking obvious than that, right? We've got the Chariot at the bottom of the deck. It is a card of the self. It is a card about determination and setting goals and achieving them and that sort of thing. But again, what's right in front of you that you've missed? This is the week to really have a close look at that. Tell me about the Three of Wands. What were you? King of Cups, yeah. We've got the King of Cups and the Hierophant. It's all about stabilizing your emotions, right? It's about getting on top of things. Like I said, there's a very practical aspect to what's going on here, to the ways in which you are being prevented from moving forwards. But it's not the practical things that are the problem. It's the way that you're approaching them. So focus on getting yourself emotionally stable. Pull down and pull down, right? Because you look at everything from, well, actually, maybe you're looking at everything from here and being all like, oh, I cannot have this thing, and actually it's about pulling up and looking at the bigger picture of things. And if you pull right up, you can see, I just noticed that the Ten of Wands is at the bottom of the deck here, right? The way that you are approaching this isn't quite right. This is why there's no movement. So start dealing with the small things and see this all as, you know, yes, kind of frustratingly slow, but that will be worth it in the end, because you're tidying up all of these loose ends, which will trip you up further down the road if you don't take care of them now. What should Leo avoid for this week, please? Yeah. Five of Swords. The Five of Swords can talk about getting into situations where, you know, you will say whatever you need to say to win, but I don't actually feel like that is here for you. Like the Five energy is disruptive. It's always shifting, and it's inherently unstable, right? And we've got lots of themes of instability going on here. But the Swords, as well as words and communication, are, you know, thoughts too. It's about getting stuck in destructive thought patterns. Where you feel defeated, Leo, you're so powerful that you'll actually almost draw that defeat towards you, right? What is at the moment just perceptual will become actual if you fall into that kind of that difficult mode of thinking that we all know that we're capable of doing. Tell me about this Five of Swords, please. Yeah, because you end up feeling completely disempowered with yourself. We've got the Magician in the reverse and the Page of Cups in the reverse, and I mean, don't fall into this pattern of feeling like you're completely unable to bring about for yourself what it is that you want, right? What you want is still on the table, right? It's still there. You just can't have it yet. So what are you going to do in the meantime? You know, don't fall into this state of acceptance of disempowerment, because it's not what the energy is about, right? This for you is very much a week of fixing your perspective on things. You know, dealing with the small stuff, dealing with the details, dealing with the boring shit, right? There's a real Saturnian kind of feel about the energy for this. I don't know if Saturn's doing something particularly to Leos at the moment, but it is that kind of work. It's work time, it's not reward time yet, you know, and it's incredibly frustrating. Incredibly frustrating. But roll with it, you know. Because although Saturn's a hard taskmaster, you know, at the end of the process, if you put in the work, then you will get the reward, right? That's how this one goes. So, let's move on to Virgo. Can I have a theme for the week for Virgo, please? Thank you. We have the Lovers. That's interesting. We have... Ooh, and it's more interesting because we've got the Five of Wands at the bottom of the deck. The Lovers is a card of conscious co-creation, right? It's a card of making big decisions about things, and the energy for you this week is of making big decisions. When I say big decisions, I'm talking about the things that, you know, have the potential to change your life in quite a strong way, even if you don't perceive it as such at this point. Now, the reason that I kind of smirked when I looked at the Five of Wands at the bottom of the deck there is that is a card of conflict. Right? It is a card of internal conflict, and we know that often when Virgos are presented with, you know, a decision that they need to make, they kind of go into this analysis paralysis kind of situation because you've thought so hard about all the potential consequences of everything and what you would have to do to work to bring all of these things in, that you end up kind of feeling completely overwhelmed with everything, with all of the options, with all of the variables about things, and you don't actually make a decision. Tell me about this Lovers card here. Thank you. We have the Ace of Swords. Tell me about the Lovers card, please. We have the Ace of Swords and the Four of Wands. It's a High Priestess here, which is interesting. This definitely adds an intuitive angle to it, but maybe things being slightly obscured. No, quite the reverse actually. So what we have here with the Lovers card and the Ace of Swords and the Four of Wands is seen very clearly, right? A route towards the Four of Wands, whatever that is for you. It's a card of celebration. It is also my card of home. It could be, you know, new relationships or stuff like that. We can certainly see that with the Lovers and the Four of Wands together here. Both of these are cards of union, right? They're cards of things coming together. There's certain symmetry here. But where there is that symmetry and things are even on each side, it's very difficult to choose between them, and I think that this is what you're going to struggle with this week. The thing is, you do have the Ace of Swords though, which is giving you a clarity of thought. We also have the High Priestess, which is adding an element of wisdom to the proceedings for you. But it doesn't feel like it's going to be easy anyway. You're still going to struggle a little bit with decisions that need to be made here. And it may not even be decisions that need to be made. It's the fact that decisions need to be made in the first place, right? So, I mean, rather than picking one thing over another, it's kind of realizing that you haven't been picking one thing over another, and actually you need to step up and start making big decisions about your life, right? It could be that way too. But either way, it's a bit of a struggle this week. But you will get there. I do feel like you will get there with the energy of the High Priestess and the Ace of Swords there. Right? Insight. You might get some new information about something, but actually it feels more like a kind of light bulb going on in your head. So you may struggle with something for the first part of the week, but then towards the end of the week, you're like, actually, do you know what? Like, I've really overthought this, and it was actually glaringly obvious what the issue was. So, tell me about love and relationships, Virgo, please. We have the King of Wands. That's interesting. So, that's Leo energy. Right there. It's very active, very participatory. Say that word right, I did. You know, it's about going after the things that you want this time. So, you know, if you have your eye on someone, this is a good week to go after that someone. You know, maybe put yourself out there a little bit. But it can also be a card of being quite discerning about where you put that energy in this week. Let's pull some clarifiers. Tell me about this King of Wands. The Two of Wands. More decision making. And the Seven of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands, right? It actually feels to me like like analysis paralysis again, right? There are decisions that need to be made, are needing to be made, and we have you kind of stock still, right? Overthinking everything. Now, if there is somebody that you are interested in, like, now is a good week to go and approach those, but just go and approach them, right? Don't think about it too hard beforehand. If you're in a relationship, then it could well be that things are just a little bit staid at the moment. You know, maybe there are some low-level things that you've been worrying about, in which case, like, this week would be a good week to bring it to the attention of your partner. And that advice actually goes to, if we're talking about interpersonal relationships rather than just those that are, you know, are romantic interests. Because there seems to be something that's really bothering you here. And the message is, if you stop thinking about it and just address it, it's going to go much better for you. Because just kind of standing still and staring at it, as we see with the Seven of Pentacles here, or sitting up at night, you know, with your head in your hands being like, it's a good week to clear the air about something, you know. And I don't think that it's anywhere near as awful as your mind has made it. It just does require a bit of action from you. And if you don't take the action, then you are going to sit here like this, right? And we don't want that. It's a week to be proactive in your relationships, is what I'm saying here, Virgo, right? So let's have a look at money and materials and work. Thank you. Have the Ten of Pentacles. Lovely. Ten of Pentacles. Oh, I spoke too soon. Okay. Really did speak too soon. Holy shit. So whatever is going on with your material environment at the moment, and this could be work, this could be money, right? It could be your business. It's very much on your mind this week, right? But in just the same way as, you know, everything is on your mind. Like, you're really thinking very hard this week, Virgo. And I think even before I start looking at these cards particularly, there's a lot of mental energy going on here that feels exhausting for you, right? We've got the Six of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck here. That is about really bringing balance to something, right? And I honestly feel that something is you at this point. Ten of Pentacles can indicate business, it can indicate work, it can indicate your home too, right? It's the card of the material, right? And it's about material fulfillment. Now, this sort of suggests you're really, really concerned about this week. We've got that Five of Wands again. We've got that conflicted energy. We've got the Three of Swords and we've got the Eight of Swords. Now, the fact that the Eight of Swords has appeared here with the Three of Swords, and we already have the Nine of Swords on the table here, it feels to me a lot like what you are worrying about may not actually have that much of a basis in reality, right? It's something that's kind of built in your head. And you've been conflicted about it because you've not quite known how to go about fixing this. But again, a little less thinking and a little more doing, you know, actually engaging with things is the way out of this sort of situation, because you kind of thought yourself into a little bit of a hole about it. And it does feel about it, it feels like it's the potential for this to go wrong rather than the way that it has, you know. And it really does feel like it's an easy fix. Not an easy fix, that's the wrong way to put it, but like engaging with this issue rather than thinking about this issue is the way forwards for you, right? We've got so much sword energy on the table here, but it is countered with wand energy and pentacle energy. There is a way for you to bring balance to this situation, and it does involve active work by you, right? That's it. Now, I wonder if, because we've seen things going quite well for Virgo recently, you know, this is this whole kind of shift in perspective that's happening and whatnot, and I wonder if half of the problem is that it's been going just a little bit too well. You know, and you kind of notice that it's gone a little bit too well, and then you're a little bit like, is this going to go wrong sometime soon? Am I investing too much into, you know, the good things being, the new things being good here? You know, have I overlooked something? And then your mind's sort of gone into hyperdrive, and then you've found yourself stuck. You know, this is just a blip, but it's a really good, it's a really, really good marker for the ways in which your mind will run ahead of you, right? And to that end, then being able to spot it before it happens, or spot it as it happens rather, because that's probably more likely, and kind of dial it back a little bit and go, right, these are my issues. How do I go about fixing these issues without getting all upset? And then start talking to people, right? Because I really do feel like action is the thing that is important here, okay? Go and speak to people. Tell them about what it is that you're concerned about. You know, if you've got issues with your work or your business or anything like that, go and speak to someone. This is all about activity this week rather than thinking. So, what should Virgo focus on for this week? I've got the Temperance card. That is, interestingly, fire energy as well. We've got like more wand energy implied here. But the Temperance card is the card of Sagittarius, and it is a card of healing. You know, focus on your healing this week. What makes you feel better? Well, it's things not being awful, right? What are the ways in which you can fix the things that are being awful? Really, really consult with people. You know, there's a way of reading these cards here, certainly for your material environment, that it is potentially conflict with other people that is making you feel a little bit like, in which case, you know, go speak to somebody who has the ability to be able to do something about this. If you don't have that sort of situation, then do you need to be there? Like, could you actually go off and do something else instead, Virgo? Is it time for you to move on? That's another possibility here. But the important takeaway is to get out of your head, because you do feel like you're kind of disappearing into your head a little bit. Right, concentrate on your own balance. Yeah. And have a look at where you're making life difficult for yourself. We've got the Ten of Wands here, which always feels to me a little bit like, you know, making things harder than they need to be. And for you, making things harder is actually thinking about them too much, right? We've got the Empress card here. It's a card of Taurus, but it's a card of bringing new things into the world. It's fertility and abundance, creativity and all that sort of thing. Right? It's the sort of energy that we're seeing much more coming towards Taurus now. Beg your pardon, it's card of Taurus, coming towards Virgo now than we have seen for a very long time, right? Don't sabotage it for yourself, because it does feel like there's an element of self-sabotage in here. Recognize it for what it is. Recognize what your brain is doing to you here, and then just sort of park it. Go, you stay there, like, I'll come back for you, honestly, but actually I'm just going to go and have a speak with this person, or I'm just going to go and assess this thing, and I'm like, maybe it is time. No, maybe it is time. And look at where you're putting your energy, because there's some aspect of what it is that you're doing that's kind of flogging a dead horse, Virgo. That's how it feels here. You know, don't stick doggedly to your old way of doing things in whatever sense that applies, if it's not yielding a return for you. And importantly, really just concentrate on those things that make you feel good this week, right? You should be doing that anyway, right? But there's definitely a sense of you working too hard and putting too much effort into something that isn't really worth it, on top of overthinking the shit out of something. So what should Virgo avoid? Yeah. We've got the Hanged Man in reverse here, which is interesting because it's all about sacrifice and submission, you know. And for you, with it being in the reverse here, there's definitely an element of not martyring yourself, Virgo. And don't look for too many different perspectives, you know, because it feels a lot like you're looking so hard for different perspectives on things that, like I said, this is where this analysis paralysis is coming in. This is where you're hamstringing yourself. Yeah, 9 of Wands. It could be that you're just trying to deal with too many things at once, you know. Avoid making any I was going to say avoid making any hasty decisions, but you're not going to be doing that. Really don't worry too much. I don't realise that you're a Virgo. Oh, this is ridiculous, right? You are a Virgo, you're always going to worry about things, right? It's about the recognition, right? It's the recognition between having concern about something and being like, right, and then thinking kind of strategically or practically about that thing, compared to the energy of being all like, ooh, I'm getting now absolutely fucking consumed by the stress of this situation. Like, it feels stressed to me this week here. But that just means it's a really good time for a time out for you. Right? Just go do something nice, something that makes you feel peaceful. Go and walk in the woods, have a nice hot bath, like whatever it looks like to you. You know, whatever it is that is your mechanism for woosahing, keeping yourself, you know. Because what I do feel like you're in conflict with you this week is yourself more than anything else. We thought too hard about lots of different options, lots of different perspectives, you know, so much so that you're now stuck. And I feel like you're fighting yourself over and over again over everything. And do you know what? Do these decisions need to be made now? Possibly not, you know. Would speaking to people maybe help you put your mind at rest in some sort of way? Would it open up a new perspective, one that is, well, you probably do without new perspectives, like a different aspect of something? Are you looking for validation just in the decisions that you've made? You know, I can't feel like you're spinning round and round and round this week, Virgo, and just stop spinning on the spot. Maybe it's just sit down for a little bit, you know, go enjoy the sunshine, right? Have a nice cup of coffee, read a book, something like that. Like the mental energy this week is just almost a little bit overwhelming, and I kind of do feel like it is related to the fact that things are going well a little bit, right? So kind of step it down, step the mind down as best it is that you are possible to as you are able to do, and speak, act, one little thing, right? Just like I've got a 5-minute rule sometimes, because I struggle to really engage with stuff sometimes. I don't know if it's not autism or ADD or what, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I really struggle, and I'll wander around the house thinking about this thing for like 6 hours without actually engaging with it at all. And I have this kind of 5-minute thing, right? Go do it for 5 minutes right now. Right, if after 5 minutes it's every bit as awful as you thought it was, then at least you've done 5 minutes of the thing, right? If it's not, and you're quite happy to keep doing it, then just keep doing it until you don't want to do it anymore, right? And it works for me really, really well, because it's about the starting things. That's where I always struggle, with starting things. Once I'm doing it, I'm absolutely fine. For you, it's like it's the same sort of thing, like start an action, see how you feel, right? You know, do it for 5 minutes. If you do that for an entire week, by the end of the week, you've actually done what it's 40 minutes of work on this thing, where you might not have done any otherwise. You know, you a little step forward there. But really concentrate on bringing peace back into yourself this week, Virgo, because I feel tired just doing this reading. I feel like I got a kind of tension headache coming here, right? And that's not me, that's you. So deep breath, 5 minutes, and then go do something else, you know. Right, oh my god, I'm throwing my cards everywhere. Let's move on to Libra. Let's have a theme for the week for Libra, please. Thank you. We have the Devil in reverse. Oh, I really like that for you, right? That's Capricorn energy, but it's talking about relinquishing fear, right? Sometimes it can be about facing your fears and kind of seeing them for what they are, seeing them as being, you know, much less of a threat than you thought they were. You know, it can be a card of looking at the things that you are chained to, whether those are, you know, internal past wounds or situations, things that are a little bit toxic, and kind of going, no, I'm ready to move away from these now, you know. Think about the Devil card. We have the Three of Wands. And we have the Ten of Wands. Yeah, like, I think there's a recognition here that things have been quite tricky for you of late. Like, they've been quite difficult. But there's something kind of bigger that's happened in the interim, right? Because you were looking at the way that you're doing things in the here and now. And both of these cards, both of these Wands cards here, talk to me about in the here and now what you were doing. So it's like maybe you've been working yourself a little bit too hard, or why were you working yourself a little bit too hard, right? What were you afraid of happening if you didn't work that little bit too hard, right? And realizing that actually probably it's okay, it's all right. Like, maybe you need to continue working hard, but now you better understand why you were doing it in the first place, you know. But it's definitely leaving behind a fear. What is it that you faced? What is it that you are facing this week, Libra? Because it feels like there's something has been a little bit of a trigger for you, or acts as a little bit of a trigger for you, and it has you kind of looking at your life and going, well, why am I doing this? I mean, sometimes we get so stuck on the hamster wheel and so absolutely consumed by our tasks and the things that we have to do that we kind of forget to live sometimes. You know, it's like, what is all of this work? What is the purpose that I'm doing it for? Is it even the right thing? You know? And maybe you found yourself, you know, increasingly taking on more and more hours at work, or maybe, you know, you're running your own business and suddenly you found that, well, if you run your own business, they do take over your life. I don't think there's any way of getting around that. But maybe you just realised that it's been, you know, it's been a hot minute since you had, you know, an hour to yourself to do something, to read a book, to go and sit out in the sunshine, something like that. There's a feeling of you having worked really, really, really hard, and being, you know, kind of getting stuck on that hamster wheel of doing it, and then just sort of going, oh, hang on, this isn't actually even what I wanted. You know, I was just kind of being sucked into this overworking kind of energy here. And I don't need to do that. I can choose to do things differently. I like that for you, Libra, I do. Right, let's have a look at your love and relationships for this week. Love and relationships, thank you. Ooh. Oh, we have the Page of Swords here. We might have you, you know, getting a message from someone. It doesn't feel like it's great news with this particular Page of Swords. It's quite a grave looking dude here, and we certainly have some sort of information coming towards you, whether it is contact from someone, you know, a message, perhaps from someone you don't really want to hear from, or maybe with news that, you know, isn't joyful particularly. Ah, except that we've got pages aplenty here. We've got the Page of Wands and we've got the Knight of Cups. So this could be coming from a Pisces. That's possible. One more card for this, please. Thank you. Justice card. Yeah, this is really interesting. Possibly news about legal proceedings that somebody is involved in. Maybe you are involved in. But it's love and relationships. And we have the love here, but we also we've got these kind of heavy energies going on. And it's right across the board here. We definitely have care and consideration from you towards another person, and actually, you know, being received too. We've got Pisces and Libra, you know, you here on the table. Do you know what, actually? If we ignore the fact that this Page of Swords looks quite grave and we just look at him for who he is, it could be that actually you're getting in contact again with people that you have lost contact with recently. We've got this Knight of Cups is headed towards the Justice card, right? This is coming into you. And then we've got Page of Wands and the Page of Swords here. We've got young people, right? Are these your children? Are these your grandchildren? This is possible. Are they younger people that you know? But it seems like there's there's reunion going on this week. We've got the Two Cups at the bottom of the deck. I just noticed it there. Yeah, I think I was thrown by the fact that but I'm using the Llewellyn right the way through here, so I might well have used a different deck if I was just reading for you personally. It feels like reunion. It feels like you're getting back in touch with people that you have lost touch with, and they feel like they're younger than you, Libra. And so, you know, children, possibly teenagers, possibly children, grandchildren, just maybe younger friends than you. But reunion of the really of the most beautiful sort. And it could be that this is the thing actually that makes you realize that you've been working too hard. Right now, the possibility of reunion with these people that you have been separated from is on the cards. You realize that you don't actually have enough time to be able to see them now. And how did that happen? You know, it's because you've been stuck working or stuck toiling away on something. Right. So let's have a look at your material environment. Tell me about money and work and that. Well, we've got the Judgment card. That's interesting. So tell me about Judgment. Okay, so we've got the High Priestess and the Five of Cups, clarifying this material environment. We do also have the Page of Pentacles underneath here. Now that's the third page that's appeared for you. It is the young, it is the new. And here with, you know, work and materials and that sort of thing, there's an opportunity here to extract some value from something that looks on the face of it like it's not, it's less than optimal. I've just noticed that we've got the Five of Cups also on the bottom of this deck here. Ooh, with the Five of Wands. It looks like with employment, maybe with money, certainly with that aspect of your life, that there's a bit of a shake-up going on. It could be that you find out that your job is actually no longer, you know, open. No, job losses in the UK are actually pretty huge at the moment, depending on where you are and you're watching this. It might be the same for you. You know, lots of places that have been closed over lockdown that now are not reopening, and people losing their jobs as a result. But it does seem like there are difficulties here. Now, obviously, if you work for yourself, you're going to know better whether you're going to be able to open or not. Maybe it is that you're concerned about whether it is that you can open, you know. Maybe you've put in all of this effort getting ready for it, and actually you've realised that there's some aspect of what you've done here isn't enough, or, you know, you've over-engineered some aspect of something and now you can't. You've kind of hamstrung yourself in some sort of way. We've got the Ten of Wands there. Relating you back to here, all of the way you've done something kind of the wrong way round, or made life very much harder for yourself than you need to. But there are shifts and changes, and they feel quite uncomfortable as they are happening here for you. But there is an opportunity to take something from this that is of value. I mean, maybe there's a payout involved. Maybe there's, you know, new contacts. Maybe there is a new job offer on the horizon that you can now apply for because you've been doing, you know, this, that and the other. It's about taking what looks to be a very bad situation and kind of flipping it around on its head, because actually this is a perspective thing for you, Libra. And if you look hard enough, there is a really quite profound opportunity in there for you somewhere. You've just got to find it. You've just got to extricate it, right? So whilst it would be quite easy to feel hard done by and get into this Five of Cups energy, which is here for you really, really strongly, the advice for this week is to kind of stand back, like employ that you know, that mental energy that you've got to good use. You know, think quite creatively about your situation, because there is a hidden opportunity here for you. Like I said, you've just got to find it. So what should Libra be focusing on this week? Queen of Wands. Putting yourself out there. Yeah, that's what the Queen of Wands does. Having confidence in her decisions, being quite bold about her decisions, you know. Maybe taking a bit of a risk here. There's a lot of Wands cards on the table for you here, Libra, which is quite interesting. Tell me about this Queen of Wands. Whoa. Got a spinning sun. Yeah. It's amazing. You're being asked to move quite confidently here. This is really interesting because whatever's going on here, whatever this refers to here, it feels very uncomfortable, right? And it feels almost certainly work-related. We've got the Eight of Pentacles there. But don't be afraid to reach for anything this week, right? When things feel at their darkest, that's where this opportunity is shining brightest, and you will miss it if you're stuck in the Five of Cups energy. If you look up, right, and you can confidently say there is an opportunity for me somewhere, you know, up ahead. Look at this. Look at the way these cards are coming out here, right? We've got the Sun and the Ten of Swords, right? It is finding the sun in the end, right? Finding your joy, finding what makes you really, really happy in what looks to be, you know, an absolute catastrophic ending. Finding what makes you happy, what gives you your personal fulfillment in a situation that you thought was going to leave you kind of, you know, poverty-stricken and out there in the snow or crippled, right? There's a huge opportunity for you here if you can just get your perspective right to see it in the first place, right? And it's going to take you somewhere much better than where you have been anyway. It's one of those situations where it feels like the absolute end of the world, and then in a few months' time you're going to look back at this and go, this was the best thing that ever happened, for sure. What should Libra avoid this week, please? Okay. Should definitely avoid being concerned about what other people think. We've got the Six of Wands here with the Emperor in reverse and the Page of Cups in reverse. Like, if you spend too much time being concerned about how you are seen by other people, you're kind of exercising control in entirely the wrong place, you know? And it's a perspective thing again. Like, if you're concerned with the visibility, if you're concerned with how it looks to other people, you're kind of missing the point that everybody's really struggling at the moment, Libra. That's the thing that you're missing. Everybody is struggling at the moment. Everybody has got something that is less than perfect in their life. And that's true anyway, all the time. But it's particularly true at the moment with you know, the way that we're finding ourselves in the UK, in the US, wherever it is that you are. You'll be putting your energy into the wrong place if you start being concerned about what other people think, right? Trying to control their perspective is a waste of energy there. And all it's really doing is kind of showing the world that you don't really accept yourself, you know? It's just a week to get really, really clear on your goals and start putting your energy there in that way, right? Because the Chariot says you will be successful. You have the drive, you have the determination, you have the energy to do this, provided you're firing it all in the right direction. And for you, firing it in the right direction is looking for the opportunities in amongst, you know, all the horror here. It's like sifting for the gold. Yes, things are difficult. This is quite a challenging week in a lot of ways. It is lifted by your personal relationships. Like, they look really, really good this week. But look for these opportunities. You know, maybe you've lost your job. This is what happened to me, actually. When I started the channel, I've been running that alongside working as well. And I was also teaching at the gym. And so I had this kind of trifecta of things that I was trying to do. And then my children as well. And I was really struggling with everything. And I lost my job because the pub that I was working at closed down. And I was filled with horror for about 30 seconds. And then I realised I've been bitching for about 3 months about the fact that I really wanted to be able to spend more time on the channel, spend more time doing the tarot stuff, but I had to work and earn a living. And so in that 30 seconds after I finished panicking, I was like, oh, I just set up a business. I'll just do that. That'll be fine. You know, and it was absolutely fine. But I needed that push by the universe. Right? It was the best thing that ever happened. I might have still been at that fucking pub now. I probably wouldn't, to be honest. Had it not shut down. And at that point in time, it seemed like the worst ever thing possible. You know, fucking 5 children living at home. I had bills to pay, house to pay for, all of that kind of thing. Like panic, sheer panic. And then just like, oh, I'll just set up a business. Yeah, I'll be fine. And by the end of that week, I had set up a business and I haven't looked back. Like, it's just, it seems mad to me that I've worked in a pub instead of doing this. Do you know what I mean? It's looking for the opportunities. And maybe for you, right, this is kind of going, oh, this is really awful, but maybe now I am free to set up my own business. Maybe I am free to go back to university. I'll go study something. You know, it's that kind of energy that I've got going on for you here, which means that this could be a tremendous week for you on the other side of what is initially very destabilizing, provided you look for the opportunities. So let's put all of these away and we'll move on to Scorpio. Glass of water as well. So, Scorpio. Let's give these cards a shuffle and see what the 26th of April to the 2nd of May has in store for you. But Scorpio's theme for the week is we've got the Four of Cups and we've got the Lovers together. That's quite interesting, right? So the Four of Cups is all about abandonment and rejection. The Lovers is about making, it's about conscious co-creation. It's about working together with energy, right? Making big decisions about your life. Page of Cups. I like the way that this is going here. Taking all of those goodness, there's far too many cards. I did notice that the Four of Cups just dropped out again there, right? Let me have this. Whoa, there we go. There's the badger. Right. Scorpio, this is going to be a big week for you. Because look at these clarifiers here. Lovely, right? This feels like an understanding of the fact that your entire life has been predicated on the capacity, no, not the capacity, predicated upon the avoidance of rejection, right? It's huge. It's like how many times you haven't put yourself out there, you haven't opened up, you haven't allowed people in because of the possibility of at some point, at some as yet undisclosed time, you get rejected, right? It feels like a really strong, confident stand on your own internal processes, right? Your processes, whatever it is, right? We've got the Page of Cups there, very low level. It's the very first step in opening up, in being compassionate and forgiving and that sort of thing. And it feels very much, Scorpio, like it is addressed towards you, like it is an internal state of play. It could be that you find yourself forgiving people who have wronged you in the past. I know that's very un-Scorpionic behaviour, but, you know, kind of going, do you know what? It doesn't actually fucking matter anymore. I'm not that person. I'm not in that place. I'm turning my gaze elsewhere. With this Death card and this Wheel of Fortune, right? This is you, but it is also a card of transformation. It's about your personal transformation. And it feels like you're starting to see the world differently, Scorp, you know? But it starts with something small, and this week seems like it's where this starts. Very much tying in here with the video that we saw for you for was it last month or this month? Last month. God, I don't know. I can't keep up. But certainly it was talking about this shift that was coming in, right? It was talking about this shift in the way that you see yourself, the way that you show up in the world, the way that you let people in, or, you know, the beginning of kind of cracking that open and accepting that there is a different way to do things and that you are prepared to now explore that different way of doing things. Like the energy is 100% behind you, right, or in front of you, whatever, right? You know, it's very supported to this, to that end. It feels like a week of incredible insights for you. You know, it's really, and maybe you're getting triggered in lots and lots of different ways, and you're just like fuck. But rather than going with your default response to that, which is to close up, shut down and kind of withdraw, it feels like there's a willingness to actually sit with it and go, oh, what are you then? No, well, why are you there? Yeah, hello, what is this? You know, there's a curiosity about this and a lack of fear. I have to say there's a lack of fear that I feel here, which is interesting because often there is a really low level terror of being hurt. And that doesn't seem to be there anymore for you, Scorpio. Not to the same degree, at least, as it always has been. Tell me about love and relationships with Scorpio, please. We have the Four of Swords. Okay. So we have, you know, perhaps taking a little break, taking a little step back. But it's a card that speaks about reflection on things, and it could be that you're reflecting on old relationships. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, there definitely seems to be some introspection going on, but it feels very objective. Yeah, we've got some thinking about old situations going on here, and I think that part of it is not just about how you've been hurt by other people, but I do think there's some sort of confronting of the way in which you may have, at least have it perceived by other people of having hurt other people, right? So I'm not talking about what Joe Bloggs says down the road, right? It's not about that. It's about thinking and reflecting on really prominent relationships in your life and how they went down, right? And you know how they went down, you know what your part was in it, and you probably know better than the other person how strong or whatever their feelings were in the situation. But it kind of feels like a little bit of a flipping of perspective, a little bit, you know, to more how they saw things rather than how you seen things, right? You're very, very straightforward the way that you see everything, right? And you've needed to keep that the way that it is because you've got to protect what is fragile inside. But it feels like there's an ability to be able to emotionally engage with their side of things this week for you. It's not intellectual anymore. You can kind of feel it, but it's not terrifying. It's not awful. It's a bit curious, you know. It feels like it actually feels like an exercise in allowing yourself to feel. And it's kind of intellectual in so much as you haven't got this person in front of you and you are not engaging with this person. But, you know, you're kind of bringing up all the situations and the memories and all that sort of thing in your head, and you're kind of just gently just kind of moving it around, just manipulating it just a little bit so that you can sit more comfortably in this person's perspective and just experiment with just feeling that. How does it feel? Yeah, because we've got the Moon card here, we've got the Judgment card here, and we've got the Chariot card here, right? What looks to be, you know, kind of fairly low level contemplation on the outside, and certainly that's how it would appear to other people. There's something really fundamental going on inside. And I think a lot of the problem with Scorpios that you've experienced in your life is it's kind of like this feeling of having been set adrift, like not really knowing who you are. Like, you know who you are, you're very fundamental with your identity. Here it is, you know, but at the same time, there are gaps that you've deliberately left for people, right? Where you do not fill those with emotion. You do not present who you are in those gaps. You let other people fill it in for yourself. And maybe it is that your identity has been a little bit patchy, right? Self-worth and stuff like that is always something that you've struggled with. And so sometimes what you've really, really struggled with is having people, is understanding what other people have seen in you. You know, refusing to accept what people have seen in you, often judging what people have seen in you, if it is a good thing, you know? And part of this actually feels like, and this is the thing, because you've been able to really easily kind of cast their opinions to one side because they see what they want to see. Right? I just leave a gap, they see what they want to see, they put in their shit, that's their thing, right? But it feels to me like there's at least one, possibly more, significant relationships where you know deep down that isn't actually true. For some reason, this person saw straight past what other people usually stop at, and they saw something deeper there. And it feels like there's an exploration of this as perhaps, yeah, like an intellectual exercise, but also as an emotional exercise. Like, how does that make you feel? Like, because it does feel to me like this person saw straight through, you know, the wall that you put there with all the shiny Scorpio. Here's the shiny Scorpio things here, right? You know, they're just straight over the top of it. And they saw the reality of who you were there, and they still showed up, and they still wanted to be there. And that was kind of like for you, you know? Coming back and looking at this and going, they saw it, and they still wanted to be around. More than that, they really wanted to be around, you know, because it feels like it was a really, really big relationship for you. And it feels like you kind of challenging your sense of identity to accept this week. Whoa, Scorpio, this is massive. It's really big. Oh, I love it. I can't tell you how much I really, really like this. It's really fucking smart, is what it is, Scorpio. It's really fucking smart. And it is you know, it is spiritual, and it's allowing emotional evolution and stuff like that, but it's putting it in a way that you can relate to, right? In a way that is comfortable for you. You're not going to go at things like Pisces and just going to mesh with everyone and just become this, you know, amalgam sometimes of all of the people around you. Like, that's not what it is. These are very distinct, very important, singular, you know, relationship or relationships, you know, that stand out for you, where you are prepared to change your perspective on the basis of what this person saw, right? And accept it, like, or work towards accept it. Oh, it's mega. Look at all this fucking major arcana on the table for you. This is huge. Got, you know, 7 cards on the table and 5 of them are majors. Tell me about material environment for Scorpio, please. Thank you. I've got the 4 of Pentacles. Maybe it's a week not to be too extravagant with your money. Hold on to it a little bit, you know, so avoid kind of big ticket items, avoid kind of frittering it on shit, you know, just sort of hunker down on it a little bit this week. 4 of Pentacles. Yeah. We've got the 10 of Swords with the 8 of Pentacles and the 10 of Wands, and it could be that there's a bit of a shock coming where work is concerned, you know, or certainly how it is that you earn your money, or how it is that money comes to you. It feels like perhaps it might be, or certainly one aspect of it kind of stopping, right, quite spectacularly. And so it's kind of a week where you need to guard your pennies a little bit more than you would be doing before. And it's 10 of Wands at the bottom of the deck here, right? It talks about things being burdensome. It talks about things being hard. Now, this is not, it's not the end, right? Although we've got 2 10 cards, it's not like, well, that's it, you've got no more money now. You're going to have to work your way out of this, though. So it might be that you're having to accept a pay cut. It might be that you're having to knock down your hours, something like that. But it feels like you need to kind of pull your belt in just a little bit and be a little bit more careful about where you spend your money, right? And buying sort of cheaper versions of things for a little bit. You can work your way out of this. This will be fine. We've got this 8 of Pentacles here, right? It's kind of like a get your head down and just get used to it kind of for now sort of situation. But yeah, it doesn't feel like it's particularly comfortable. You know, if you're self-employed, it could be that you find that a couple of your clients are needing to bail because, you know, they're having financial issues of your own, and this is having kind of a knock-on effect with you. But it's temporary. It doesn't feel like it's permanent, so don't worry about that too much. But it would be sensible to be prudent with your pentacles at this time. So, and what should Scorpio focus on for this week, please? 3 of Wands. Interesting. Ooh. Yeah. What you should be concentrating on and what you should be putting a lot of energy into is just keeping things on a level this week, right? No sudden moves in too much of a way. Like, you've got kind of what looks to be difficult energy coming in around the pentacles here anyway. You don't really want to shake things up much more than you need to. Kind of stand firm, be setting plans about where you want to be, you know, in X amount of time. You know, looking at ways in which you can refine your lifestyle a little bit. Like the 2 cards that we've got here are the Tower and the 6 of Swords. Both of them are in the reverse. Don't be too hasty to just jump ship on something. Like I said, if you've maybe your hours are having to be cut, or maybe, you know, you're taking a bit of a pay cut, something like that, right? Don't just be like, well, fuck this, and just, you know, flip tables and leave. Give it a week or 2 at least, because, well, frankly, if you leave this, you might not find something else. No, I'm not going to fuck about with you. Like, this is... Focus on keeping you right in the here and now, and this may involve you kind of doing things that are not what you really wanted to do for a little while, but it keeps the tower from the door for now, you know. Because things will improve. They are going to be able to improve. You are going to be able to work your way out of this in some way or another. You know, it might be that this you know, reduced hours thing only really, you know, holds sway for a month or so, and then once everything's opened up properly again, like actually there's loads and loads of work for you, and you kind of go back to being where you were before. But if you make too many hasty decisions at this point, I don't think that you will find it quite so easy to come back from. So tell me what Scorpio should avoid. Yeah, I mean, this is just a continuation of this from here, really. Avoid making rash decisions straight from the off about anything, particularly when it is related to your stability in whatever way that applies. I mean, it looks like you've got quite a lot going on emotionally at this point. That's kind of more than enough for your head to be dealing with, like in terms of the practical stuff. Just kind of rearrange and make it work for now. Don't make rash decisions about things, you know, and don't be too hasty to judge anything. Like, that's right across the board. Don't be too hasty to judge anything. Just sit with. This is a week of sitting with stuff, right? Sitting with challenges, sitting with emotionally uncomfortable things, sitting with, you know, revised working conditions, that kind of thing, right? No sudden moves in any particular direction for now. Okay, so we move to Sagittarius. Let's have a theme for the week for Sagittarius. Oh, we have Queen of Pentacles. That's nice energy. She talks about taking care of herself, which is to say taking care of oneself, right? It's nurturing energy there. It is about truly knowing the value of what is important. For you, that might be Pentacles this week, but it feels a little softer than that. It feels more of an internal position rather than your, you know, your external pentacles. Tell me about the Queen of Pentacles, please. What, the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Cups. That's a lot of and the Ten of Wands, right? This is interesting because these actually all feel like people. They don't have to be women. This is just the feminine expression of this particular suit of energy. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen of Wands, and the Queen of Cups. We have you know, fire, water, and earth. Now it could be that it is a, you know, earth sign woman, fire sign woman, water sign woman that you're having trouble with this week. And I do feel like you're having trouble because the other card that came out was the Ten of Wands. It certainly seems to be people around you, whether male or female, right? And possibly in lots of different aspects of your life, you know. You got the Queen of Cups covering the emotional. We've got the Queen of Wands being, you know, your queen, and also the way that you engage with life as a fire sign. We've also got this Queen of Pentacles here, and she's actually sat between these two queens. Whoa, this is really interesting. The thing is, the queens are very receptive, right? Queens are receptive energy. And it feels like all of this stuff is happening at you this week, Sagittarius. And frankly, it's a fucking ball ache, right? It's almost like you can't be asked with any of it. I'm actually going to get another deck and pull another card for that because I'm so intrigued as to what is going on here. Tell me about these queens. What does Sagittarius need to know about these queens? Three of Swords. This is interesting with the Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. There are energies around you this week, and they do feel like people who are just going to kind of, and I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, but they do feel like they're kind of pulling you down a little bit. It could be that there's some sort of issue between you and one of these queens here. To wit, then you would have one who is kind of supporting you, and another one who is, you know, kind of finding things difficult. The thing is, like, all the queens in their upright are actually really kind of good. Like, they're good archetypes. They embody really good things. But with this Three of Swords, there's some heartache, there's some pain involved in here somewhere. And then we also have this, you know, this Ten of Wands. It could feel like, actually, this week, like, everything just drops on your head at once, Sag, right? That's what I'm getting here, like, everything. There isn't an aspect of your life that is not affected by something that just kind of drops on you here. And there may not be any malice involved on other people. It just feels like it's just fucking hard work this week, right? And it doesn't feel like you've courted it at all. It just all kind of drops on you, you know? Let's have a look at your love and relationships. Can't fucking, what the fuck? Absolutely smashed up my own cards. Let's have a look at love and relationship. Fuck. Tell me about love and relationships for Sagittarius, please. We've got the Fool, so that's nice. We've got, you know, trust. We've got potentially moving in a new direction with someone. If you have met someone, then you know, things going well. If you're with someone, you know, that energy's still staying very light, very comfortable, which frankly, given the week that you're going to have, in some ways looks like it's quite challenging. It would be nice to have this sort of thing around you. Tell me about the Fool, please. Got the Hanged Man and the Two of Wands. So we've got Aries and Pisces energy here with these two major arcana, and we've also got the Two of Wands, which talks about, you know, kind of rolling over options for things, like trying to make decisions about things. But the Hanged Man is about changing your perspective. It could be that you're changing your perspective on some sort of new start that might have seen you kind of pulling away from people, or even maybe being drawn towards people. That's possible. I mean, yours is quite an intriguing reading. We've got this Three of Swords at the bottom of the deck here again. So this is coming up twice for you, Sag. We've got the Death card. This card is Scorpio now. It's interesting because the other version of this, you know, of an interpretation for the Fool card is sort of not looking before you leap. Maybe you jumped into something without really fully thinking about what it is that you were getting into. That's possible. For others of you, it could be that there was something that you're concerned about that actually now you see now was absolutely not worth being concerned about. But it's actually really light energy, all of it, apart from this Three of Swords here. So actually, it doesn't feel much like this one. This Three of Swords doesn't feel like yours at all, Sag. It feels like it's somebody else's. It could be that you've got a week of dealing with, you know, people around you who have got something going on and they need you for something, right? It's almost like everybody else's energy is really heavy, and that's what burdens you. And in the love and relationships down here, this Three of Swords doesn't feel like yours either. We've got a Hermit card underneath there. But it could be Virgo. It could be you going within, you know, for yourself, kind of looking for answers about things. But it doesn't feel like that for me. Like, your energy feels actually very beautiful. We've got that, you know, incredible trust going on there. We have a changed perspective. We have you coming from a very enlightened point of view nowadays, right? Both of these cards talking about trust, huge amount of trust. We've got the Two of Wands, which is fully thinking through the consequences of anything before you choose to act, you know. And then we have the Death card, which is about transformation. It could be that you have changed quite a lot, and this week is the week in which you see that actually expressing itself, right? Particularly if you've got people around you who are struggling You know, maybe you have some sort of connection to these people. Maybe they are exes, something like that, you know. Where they're really struggling. Maybe they're making life quite hard for you, and you can fully perceive how it is that you've moved on from it. Because I don't get any kind of anything other than you're being tired this week, Saggy. Like, you're feeling a little bit put upon this week. Like, this heartbreak isn't yours. It doesn't feel like yours at all. Maybe it is that you've got an ex who is still in a state of heartbreak. Maybe there is, you know, a friend who is still in a state of heartbreak, and maybe they've just been mouthing off about you in some way or another, right? And you're just like, yeah. But what it's really showing you is that they haven't moved on at all, and you really have, because you don't care about this anymore. But like, because it's being brought to your door, and it does feel like it's being brought to your door, Sag, that it's just kind of, it's quite difficult to get away from it. You know, you're quite enjoying where you are now. And this is all kind of rearing its head up and just making you kind of internally roll your eyes a little bit. Tell me about money and materials for Sagittarius, please. Oh, shit. What's that there? Ooh. Seven of Pentacles. Right, so not great. Right? There's no great lottery win this week, you see. But it does see you kind of trying to tidy things up. From a material point of view, you know, from a money point of view, from a Pentacles point of view, you know, maybe you're tidying up the way that you do your accounts, maybe that you're looking to streamline your operation in some sort of way, because you realize that you're kind of hemorrhaging cash out that you don't need to in some way or another, right? We've got the Four of Pentacles here. It's kind of asking you to keep a closer eye on your money and where it's going and what it's doing, because it feels like there's it does feel like there's some sort of leak here somewhere for you, you know, spending money that you don't need to spend right now. Spending money that maybe might be better employed elsewhere, you know. Tell me about the Seven of Pentacles, please. We've got the Sun. Yeah. And we've got the Ace of Cups. Yeah. Four of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Yeah. Keep a close eye on your money this week, Sagittarius. But more than that, look at where it's going, right? Like, don't just not spend anything. I'm not saying that. Kind of look at what it is that you are spending things on. You know, what is it that you're paying for that you don't need to? It's all about streamlining and refining for you this week. We've got the Sun and the Ace of Cups underneath, and so I actually think that this is a really good thing for you. It helps you catch something that you might have missed up until this point, but it also feels that, like, possibly you've got the ability to kind of re-divert some resources in a different direction to something new that you've actually always wanted to do, or wanted to, you know, maybe it's a new hobby, maybe it's buying something that actually, you know, you're going to sit and play with, like, you know, the next 3 years or something like that. Like, it's the ability to take what has been not being squandered exactly, but what is kind of leeching away from you, take it and actually push it in a direction that is very fulfilling for you. Okay, because we've got great happiness there and the new, but like let's not ignore these two Four of Pentacles, right? That absolutely needs a bit of attention. So, what should Sagittarius be focusing on this week, please? Oh, we've got two cards. We've got the Sun and we've got the Empress. As cards of Taurus and Leo, respectively. There's a focus on the new here. Well, not exactly the new, but like the kind of pushing forwards. I know that I quite often tell you to stop and turn around and look at things and reflect every now and again. And that's true. But just kind of remember to enjoy yourself in the here and now, you know. The Empress is concerned with creativity and fertility and abundance, and bringing that abundance to your life in some way or another, right? And I think that maybe you're a little bit more abundant than you think you are. It's just that you are leaking out something somewhere, right? This gives you an opportunity to completely change that around and redirect those resources in some way or another. It's like, concentrate on your abundance and concentrate on what is fun, what feels joyful for you, right? So if it is going and you know, I don't know, There's some sort of sports thing that you do and you've wanted a new piece of equipment for ages and you know you're going to use it loads. Like, just go and buy it. Just go and sort it out. But have a look at your money first and see where it's leaking, because you'll find that what you need is right there. Okay? It's right there. And if it isn't there in the here and now exactly, like, it'll be there by this time next month because you've plugged that gap up, you know. Three of Pentacles. Ooh, that's nice. And the Empress is also the archetypal mother. And we've got Taurus and Leo here. So if you are involved with a Taurus or a Leo, or perhaps the mother of your children, or maybe your mother, something like that, you know, a mother. So working together with them on something could be very good for you. It's almost like they need your input here somewhere, because we've got this Four of Wands, which is about home, it's about celebration, it's about the creation of a new foundation, and the Wheel of Fortune's right in the center, right? It seems like you are quite able to be able to assist in some way, working together with them to bring something about that is actually quite beautiful for both of you. If that isn't your thing here, then it's focusing on your abundance this week. Don't be focusing on your lack, right? Go looking for the gaps, go looking for the leaks, plug those up, and then enjoy what you have here. Because we've got some really kind of lucky Jupiterian influence coming in for you in this next week, and working with that energy, right? That abundant mindset. Feels like it's going to bring some really good news by the end of the month. Or end of the month, I keep saying month. I'm so used to doing monthly readings. By the end of the week or the beginning of next week, it will be bringing in some really good news for you. Right, okay. What should Sagittarius avoid this month? This I've done it again this week. That's really interesting. Right, so we've got the King of Cups at the bottom of the deck. That's Scorpio energy, right? The thing that you should avoid is the Four of Wands, which is literally the last card that showed up here in what you should be focusing on. Now, the interesting thing is this is a slightly nuanced position that is taken here, right? The point of focus for you is abundance and happiness, right? Or a Taurus or a Leo in your life, right? There's your point of focus. And the underpinning energy here is kind of working together with this Jupiterian abundant energy, you know, really, really pulling in that energy towards you, which will result in this. What the cards absolutely don't want you to do is skip straight to the this, right? Whatever that is, whether that is, it's the creation of a new foundation. It can be a home. It can be a, you know, anything actually that's worthy of celebration. It's like not focusing on the end result here. It's about enjoying yourself along the way. If you get stuck, right, hyper focusing on whatever the end result will be here, you're actually going to knacker yourself out, it feels. This Nine of Swords is like too much overthinking about things, and maybe having it affect your judgment a little bit, you know. The King of Cups is Scorpio, King of Swords is Aquarius. You know, they're quite strong energies, and neither of them are yours at this point. You know, it's kind of like, do the little things to sort out where your money is disappearing, and then just bumble about and be you. Try not to get too stressed. Try not to get too antagonized by, you know, other people's kind of trauma things. It's kind of, if you possibly can, just kind of skirt it around it a little bit. Like, don't engage, actually, is what I just heard there. Like, don't engage with a lot of this. Just let it go, you know. And realise that actually some people are really coming from a place of projection towards you, but you've got other things to focus your mind on. For you, it's really positive thinking, you know. not positive thinking for the sake of it, but, you know, really focusing on your own abundance and enjoying what you have. That's the important thing. Really enjoying what you have is important for you moving forwards. Right, cool. So moving on to Capricorn, some moon ascendant. Let's have a look and see what is in store for you. It's a really good shuffle. Oh my god, everything's going wrong. Right. No, now everything's gone wrong. Right. Ooh, maybe this is part of the reading. Maybe this is what's going to feel like. We'll see. Let's get some cards out. Look at that. For heaven's sake. Right. I've been sat here for quite a long time now. I'm a losing feeling in my bum. Spin this around. So, going to have a card for Capricorn's theme for the week, please. We have a number of cards that have all kind of flown out. In fact, too many, because we've got like 6 here. So I'm going to put these back in and we're going to try that one again. Interesting, this is only you that this is happening for, Capricorn. So, card for the week for Capricorn, please. Thank you. We have the 6 of Cups in reverse. Now, do you know, I felt it. I was waiting for it. I actually thought it was going to be the card that came out, but it's not. It's at the bottom of the deck. It is the shadow card underpinning the theme for the week for you. Now, do you remember when I said just a second ago that I wondered if maybe this was part of the reading where everything was just fucking up and going chaotic, right? Like, that feels like it's possibly true for you here, Capricorn. It feels like there's tower energy around you at the moment, and it may not be quite hitting, but there might be a little bit of stuff that is kind of getting away from you at the moment, right? The theme for the week is the 6 of Cups in reverse. Now, this way round, it talks about the past, right? And in amongst other things, it can talk about a really nostalgic view of the past. This week, it feels to me a little bit like you understand that this is now really done in some way or another, right? Now, that could have its expression in all sorts of ways, but it's a sense of completion, right? A sense of you not being able to go back to something the way that it was before. Let's pull some clarifiers. And there is a tower aspect to this here some way. This kind of affects you in a way that you didn't anticipate. Now, tell me about the 6 of Cups, please. Yeah. It's really interesting because what we've got here is the Page of Swords. There he is, right? And as he sits on my table, he's always looking towards the left. Now, we in the West, who write from left to right, tend to view time as a very linear thing. So, to me, this is somebody kind of looking back at the past. How completely on point it is for this. We've got you kind of looking back at the past and realising that it is done. Right? There is no going back to how things were before. Let me show this one. And like I said, this feels like it has really quite a profound effect on you. It affects you in a way that you did not anticipate. But we've got the Chariot here next to it, and I like this because this is really about kind of going, right, well, that is gone. It is done, right? And it feels like it's kind of arising for you to be able to deal with it anyway, because that's the thing. This is about how do I move forwards in light of this information that I now have, where there is no going back, there is no kind of re-engaging with a nostalgic past in some way or another. What's underneath here? We've got the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles and the 9 of Cups and the Ace of Wands under here. Like this is an interesting array of cards, Capricorn, because we've got these 2 10s here, which both in their different separate ways talk about the happy family. They talk about structure. They talk about emotional investment and material, gain. But basically commitment. Structure. All of the emotional stuff that is around you looks like it's come to completion for you, and this is a shock. Maybe it's that you've realized that there's a level of emotional investment in an ex or something that you hadn't realized was still there, and now you've noticed it's there. It's like, well, that isn't coming back. Like I can't I can't do anything about this. Now I have to face this, and I have to choose how it is that I move forwards, you know. With the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands and the Nine of Cups underneath there, it's like really addressing what makes you happy. You know, maybe you realise that you've been hanging on to something. You've not fully released something. This is the week where it comes to the fore for you. And it will feel slightly uncomfortable. There's no getting away from that, but it doesn't feel like it's pulling everything down around you, right? It might feel briefly like that, like in the moment that energy kind of hits, but it feels to me a little bit like you'd be able to traverse this more easily than you anticipated, you know? And it's doing a good job in being able to balance and align you for moving forwards, right? And we like that. We like moving forwards. Tell me about love and relationships for Capricorn. We have the Nine of Cups with the Five of Cups in the reverse at the bottom of the deck. It's talking about, you know, focusing only on what it is that you have lost, right? To which we could well see this being a past relationship, but it's definitely a past situation of some sort that you've been carrying around some low-level grief about for a very long time, right? This is it coming up for you to go, oh, that's what you are, right? I release you, I let you go. It's about stepping back from that energy, because it's about focusing on what it is that you actually want moving forward. So it could be that you actually have everything that you've ever wanted, and it is right in front of you. It's just that because there was this low-level grief for something that you have lost, you had not seen it, you could not appreciate what it is. It's like Nine of Cups is about being in a state of gratitude, you know, and enjoyment. It's about not necessarily getting everything that you wished for, but everything that you have being all that you could actually wish for, if you understand the difference, you know. We've got the Nine of Cups. We've got the Knight of Cups here. And we've got the Nine of Wands, you know. We've got the Queen of Pentacles. That's your card, Capricorn, right at the centre, followed by the Fool and the Lovers. You know, I actually feel like you're really surrounded with some incredible abundance at the moment, particularly of an emotional variety. You have, it seems, for most of you at least, love in your life, or you are open to that being in your life. You're open to the idea of contentment and peace and gratitude. And you're kind of sick of fighting yourself over relationships. That's how it feels like with this Nine of Wands here. It's always kind of being a little bit removed, a little bit apart from. There's an acceptance that's coming through in all of these cards here that will be wonderful for you moving forwards, okay? Because when you appreciate what you have, then anything else that comes in on top is just like, it's icing on the cake, you know? But particularly with the relationships that you have around you at the moment, it's about taking the time to look at those and be aware of what it is that you have, right? Enjoy what it is that you have, appreciate what it is that you have, right? We've seen Capricorn going through this incredible transformation recently, well, not even recently, like over the course of the last year, maybe year and a half, something like that, where there's been this slow shift in the way that you prioritize things, the way that you value things over emotional connections and stuff like that. It's been a very slow, methodical process, but it really does seem like you're kind of emerging out the other side now, and this might well be the last bit. Remember that we had the Fool underneath there, the last bit where the acceptance of yourself and gratitude for all that you have actually kind of lights you up, Capricorn. Tell me about money and materials and work and things like that. What have we got here? We've got Temperance. We've got things being on an even keel, quite balanced, but not necessarily much in the way of activity, because we do have the King of Wands in reverse there. That is Leo energy, and it's very active, right? The masculine expression of fire energy, and there's the Strength card as I pull it apart there, is very active. The Temperance card, again, is about acceptance, and maybe there's an acceptance that you're not actually going off in any particular direction for a little while yet. Maybe it is that you have to stay where you are, and maybe you're grateful for where you are, you know? It's maybe the standing down of the 5-year plan. Something. Tell me about Temperance, please. Yeah. Ace of Swords. There's a truth coming here about the way in which you engage with your material world. And I can see, right, we've got two cards of balance here, right? This balance that's coming in is, maybe it's work-life balance. I can totally see that. But it's a larger sense of balance than that. It's healing, it's peaceful. It's not about you losing the drive necessarily to move forwards, but it's you understanding the nature of your drive, where it has come from, and realizing that your worth as a human being doesn't come from the validation of your employers. It doesn't come from your status. It doesn't come from, you know, the things that you have. It doesn't come from being seen as an expert in your field, although I imagine that that's probably very nice. It's something altogether more simple than that. And that's where you are. It's that appreciation of the small things. And that's not to say that you've lost, like I said, that you've lost your drive or you've lost your ambition. I don't think so. I think if anything, it's kind of given you an opportunity to revisit what your own personal success looks like and acknowledge how very close to it, if not sat directly on top of it, you already are. It's just that you hadn't quite seen it, you know? I think that's wonderful for you. So tell me about what Capricorn should be focusing on this week. I have the Strength card again, right? This is about soul growth, right? It's also the card of Leo, and that's been peppering right the way through this reading here for you. It's about growing. It's about being strong, yes, but it's also about being soft. And this is something that Capricorn has needed to kind of have an experiment with, honestly. And tell me that strength. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something of an emotional nature to be focusing your attention on this week, it is looking into the past. It is, as we see, the theme for the theme for the whole week has been the past for you. Well, we've got it back here too. We've got exploring the nature of the abandonment that you have felt at times in the past, right? When you acknowledge something, when you really turn around and look at it, you can't help but process it, right? And that's what it is. And a lot of the ways in which you have kept yourself separated from and perhaps refused to emotionally engage with people has come from a place of protection. You've been trying to protect yourself all of this time. And with this very simple insight, it's almost like you can see this pattern of your life where you have smashed through every goal that you've ever set yourself on a practical level, but where you've always sat outside of a place of enjoyment of it, of this quiet contentment with things. It's the postie knocking on my door. I hope somebody answers that. So, it's a card of the Hermit here that I'm looking at. It's a card of going within. It's a card of perhaps detaching a little bit from the world around you. It is a card of being stuck, not being stuck. Going on a journey of internal contemplation, right? And for you, this notion of rejection is a really, really strong one, because only by really addressing that and understanding what that is, are you going to be able to release it and let it go. It's a week for you of releasing and letting go lots and lots of things, and you cannot help but grow as a result of that, right? I'm absolutely certain of it. What should Capricorn avoid this week? Right. Tower is back at the bottom of the deck. We've got the Knight of Wands. And this is interesting because everything else is talking about, you know, slow movement. It actually sort of staying still, you know, contemplation, reflection. The Knight of Wands is asking you not to get too flighty with things, you know, like stick with stuff. If you start with something, if you are really considering what is going on within, do not get swayed because things start to get a little bit difficult, right? That's where the gold is for you this week, right? Try not to be too, what's the word that I'm looking for? Try and stay focused, right? And see things through to the end, because if you try and rush this process, you're going to end up sliding all over the shop. You know, the Tower energy, when it comes in, like, it really requires the dust to settle before you can kind of see the extent of what's going on here. The Knight of Wands. Yeah. We've got the Knight of Swords in reverse. The Four of Swords in reverse here. Thank you. And we've got the Lover's End. We've got the Hanged Man in reverse. Yeah. Trying to make too many decisions is going to be a bad move for you this week. It's like big life-changing decisions that you could make to avoid looking at what you don't want to look at would be a mistake for you. It would be an unenlightened thing to do. It's chasing peace is where you're at, right? And that comes from going within. It's not from going without. So avoid making big decisions this week about anything until you have really sat with the energy, and you can be sure that you are not reacting rather than acting, because I think there would be quite a strong pull, almost like a knee jerk reflex, there we go, that's the word I was after, to just kind of do something quite spontaneous and almost sort of reckless to avoid dealing with, you know, what is going on in here. And that actually will almost certainly bring more Tower energy towards you, right? Spending the time sitting quietly with things and really processing at this point would be a much better use of your time, because like I said, it is about releasing and letting go this week. It's not really about the practical things this week. And so if you feel too inclined to start kind of making those big changes, it is avoidance at this point, and be aware of it, right? See it as the red flag that it is. If you suddenly feel like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing, you're just like, stop, just a second, Capricorn, you know, reflect first. So let's have a look at Aquarius. The theme for Aquarius for the week, please. We have the Fool. That's wonderful. It's the beginning of a new cycle. We've got the Chariot card at the bottom of the deck. It's about really knowing what it is that you want and headed off in that way. There's an element of trust here that is quite big. It's almost like you're taking a leap into something where, you know, the destination that you're headed in isn't quite that obvious. Not at this point. You're kind of running on faith, you know. We've got the Ace of Cups. And we've got the Ace of Wands, which is absolutely beautiful. Two aces together with the Fool. I mean, really big new starts in something for you this week. Now, we love the new. We love it when new things come in. But sometimes it's associated with a level of resistance, a little level of difficulty along the way. Now, I'm not feeling that too much for you at this point. I'm not feeling it at all, actually. We've got the Sun and we've got the Empress under here. It feels like a wholesale throwing yourself into something new this week. And it feels like it touches quite a few different aspects of your life, because we've got the Ace of Cups, we've got that kind of emotional component there, but we've got the Ace of Wands. We've got, you know, really lived experience being different this week, which is absolutely glorious. I really like that for you. It feels like a full embrace of the new. Tell me about love and relationships for Aquarius, please. We have the Four of Swords, so, you know, we have the Eight of Cups at the bottom of the deck here. So it could be that you are pulling away from some people. Maybe this is part of what this leap into the unknown is. You know, it could be moving away physically from people that you know. You could be pulling away from person or persons that just aren't right for you anymore. But I don't actually feel any kind of tremendous sorrow with it. There's quite a determined feel about all of this. It's like you've sat with the energy for long enough. You've worked out where you want to head for long enough, and now it's time to take action. Now it's time to start, you know, really bringing that to play. Four of Swords. We've got the Nine of Pentacles. We've got the Queen of Wands, and we've got the Three of Swords. And this is interesting. We've got the Magician at the bottom of the deck here with the Empress. How interesting that the Empress was under there as well, right? The Nine of Pentacles is a card of well, sometimes solitude, to be honest. It's about independence and self-sufficiency. It is about doing things by yourself. And we see you kind of pulling away from a situation. And it could well be that there's a fire sign that you're pulling away from here, right? Now, it's strictly Aries, but it could be Leo, it could be Sagittarius, or it could be neither of them, right? None of them. It could be, in fact, somebody who just has that prominently in their chart, or it could be somebody who is, you know, embodying the characteristics of that sign at this time. So this is somebody who might be just a little bit, you know, full on in some way or another. And maybe the reason that you're pulling away from them is because they've been too full on about stuff, right? We've got this Three of Swords here, and the Three of Swords does not feel to me in the slightest like it belongs to you. It feels like it's somebody else, right? It is whatever it is that you are moving away from. An energy or a situation or a person, a group of people, you know. But it feels to me like you've made your peace with what comes next. You've made your peace with the consequences of this. And now it's all about you. It's all about, you know, taking that new energy and really cultivating for yourself the life that you want. And it seems like this week specifically, 26th to the 2nd of May, this is when this all starts to have some sort of really visible expression of that now. It's almost like you've had to accept that some people are going to get hurt in you choosing to go in the direction that you're going, and that's okay, right? You've made your peace with that, because that isn't about you, that's about them. All right, tell me about money and materials and work and things. What do we have here? We have the Queen of Cups with the Four of Wands at the bottom of the deck. This is quite interesting because there's sort of there's a fairly passive element to the Queen of Cups here. And the Four of Wands, it could be that things are just going great in the work environment, so there's nothing really that you have to do. But there's certainly less of there's a far less dynamic energy in this than there is in the way the rest of your life is choosing to go out here. Like it, I mean, it could be that, you know, part of your new start here is that you've already got the new job, right? You already know what you're doing there, so there's no energy need to be expended in that way. Like maybe you start in, you know, a month or something like that, and you've just left the old place, and this is all cool, you know. Now you've got a couple of weeks where you can sit around and you know, binge watch Netflix if that's what you want to do, eat some pizza, you know, whatever it is, or, you know, go climb K2 or the Fool. Yeah, like it actually feels to me like whatever it is that you in terms of your material environment, all of the work is done already. There isn't actually anything that you need to do. We've got the Fool and we've got the King of Swords underneath there. King of Swords is Aquarius energy, and there's that Fool again appearing for you. But we also have the Star, which is also Aquarius energy there, and it talks about the future. It seems to me like you have in hand what it is that you are doing, certainly from a money and materials point of view, and there's actually very little that you need to do now to get that ball rolling. And it could be that all the groundwork that you've done for this here, and this other aspect of it is where you kind of just share with people what it is that you've set in motion, and they're like, oh no, you know. But it's not going to be enough to hold you back on anything. Well, why would it be? You've put in the groundwork, like you're ready to receive now, you know, you're ready to do all of these things. This is awesome, Aquarius. I really like this. What should Aquarius focus on this week? High Priestess. You don't actually really need to do much, which is interesting. It's Pisces energy. And we've got the Page of Cups, which is Pisces energy down there too. It's hilarious how much static energy there is here But at the same time, all the new things coming in, you know, we've got the Four of Swords. It's quite static energy, passive energy. We've got the High Priestess, passive energy. We've got the Queen of Cups, which is passive energy. But then the Fool and these two aces and all of these things kind of swirling around you. It's like you don't need to do anything now. Tell me about the High Priestess. We have the World card. Oh, and two that have flown out together. The Wheel of Fortune, goodness, and the Five of Swords. That's interesting. It's like you literally need to do nothing now to complete anything. Like it's done. Like it says, it feels like all of the groundwork is done. All of the untidy ends of the old cycle are complete. You know, it's like it's all done. Now you just wait for the Fool to appear. We've got the Wheel of Fortune, which is interesting because it sort of suggests there's a sort of there's a serendipitous aspect to this here somewhere, you know. It could be that what you've got coming in for you here is a combination of hard work and good luck, being in the right place at the right time, you know. But what it's asking you to really focus on, since you don't seem to be doing, you know, having to do too much else, is really focus on what you have learned in this experience here, because there's a lesson in here for you with this Wheel of Fortune, and it's huge. And there's a lesson in something about the way that you have thought about yourself. And it does feel like it's about yourself. It could be the ways in which you've self-sabotaged and you've held yourself back in the past. We've got the Devil at the bottom of the deck here, with this Five of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. It's like spend a bit of time in contemplation to see how you held yourself back before and how you have achieved almost without, almost making it look effortless, actually, Aquarius. This is incredible. I really like this. Like, only you will know how much work you put into this or you didn't put into this. Or didn't have to put into this once you changed the way that you thought about things. But there's something quite profound going on here, right? It's almost like change your thinking, there's your reward, right? And you're just sitting there being like, yeah, look what I did. It's fucking awesome. You know, I love this. We've got the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck here. How it is that the changing of your thinking has brought these new opportunities towards you, and how you are in a state of readiness to just jump on them. It's amazing. Tell me about what Aquarius should avoid this week, please. We have the Four of Wands in reverse, Five of Cups. Right, getting too het up about what it is that you're leaving behind, right? The Four of Wands is a card of home for me, right? So it could be that there's, you know, a geographical move is implied, possibly, you know, but honestly, it isn't really important, because what is important is there is a phase of your life that is completing. You're starting something new. Like, don't allow yourself to get bogged down with kind of missing the old. Like, yeah, it's nice to have it, but like, do not be focusing on what you've lost here with this Five of Cups. Tell you this. What it is that you're moving away from is because it's time, you know. Ooh, do not engage in second guessing. All right, we've got the Devil at the bottom of the deck again. We've got the Moon and we've got the Two of Wands. Don't get into a state of mind where you start second guessing the decisions that you've made, because they're all absolutely spot on. They're bob on, right? Your instincts and your intuition in this regard has been impeccable. And the only way that you can really sabotage yourself now is by starting to doubt the decisions that you've made. Don't do it. Don't do it at all. So, final sign, Pisces, my lovely little fish. I love you so much. Me a theme for the week for Pisces, please. Thank you. We have the Hierophant. That's interesting. That's Taurus energy. It talks about structure. It talks about society, hierarchy, business, schools, universities, that sort of thing. Let me look at this. Yeah. And I think for you, it's changing the way that you're thinking about what possibly what structure means to you, what the nature of the sort of structure that you need around yourself is, or whether that is the type of society or, you know, the work environment, something like that. The Hierophant is all very much about the traditional, right? It's about the solid. It's about that which has always been that way and probably will always continue to be that way, you know. But it's quite rigid and it's quite inflexible. And this week, it actually does feel like you pulling away from that in some way or another, right? Because we've got the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse here for you, right? This is a situation that is suboptimal, right? It's one that you're not enjoying. It's not giving you the fruit that you need, and you can't work out why the yield is so low, right? Kind of sitting with that and analysing every single aspect of your life and trying to work out what needs to change. This, for me, is knowing exactly what does need to change. So to that end, what we've got going on here is possibly some pretty sudden decision making by you on how it is that you change your structure. And it could be work related, it could be, you know, where you live geographically, you know, it could be any one of a number of things. But I get a sense of you wanting to shake things up this week. And move very quickly on it once you've made your decision, which is interesting. Because I think you've probably worked out a long time ago what it was that you weren't as happy with in your life as others. But now seems to be the week where that movement occurs, right? And it doesn't just occur swiftly. It's fast. It's really, really fast. It's almost like split second decisions about how you change your environment. Interesting. Tell me about love and relationships with Pisces, please. Oh, we have the Two of Cups. That's wonderful. What a lovely card. Two of Cups does talk about romantic relationships, but not solely about romantic relationships. It can be about all the relationships that you experience, whether they are, you know, between family and friends and co-workers and all that sort of thing, right? It's often a card that talks to me about intimacy. You know, that intimacy that you share with people that you just feel aligned with for one reason or another. Now, that's something that you know a lot about. But let's pull some clarifiers because... Hello, I'm not taking all of those. Because I wonder if... No, I'm not going to say anything until I've... What about the Two of Cups, please, for Pisces? Two of Cups for Pisces. There we go. We've got the Ten of Cups and we've got the Temperance card. Now, that's really interesting. We've got the Devil at the bottom of the deck. Now, you see, now this is the energy that I was feeling. I was looking at this card, this Two of Cups, and I was like, no, this is a good card. And I was like, but why does it make me feel a little bit like... It does make me feel a little bit like... And I should tell you for why. Because what I was looking at on this card, right, it's a really beautiful card. What I was looking at was the thorns and the briars that seem to be surrounding this couple down at the bottom. Like they actually seem a little bit stuck there. And what I felt was a little bit trapped when I was looking at that card. But then we had the Ten of Cups and the Temperance card come out, right? Like these are beautiful cards of healing and well-balanced relationships and something like that. But underpinning all of it is this feeling of being trapped. I don't think that there is anything wrong with the emotional relationships that you have, but I think that you are coming to a point where they are feeling restrictive to you. It feels a little bit like it would be more comfortable to you if you could pull away, put a little bit of distance actually between you and whoever these people are, or this person. And it could be both, because we've got the Ten of Cups, we've got that kind of collective happiness there, but we also have the Two of Cups, which is a one-on-one kind of energy, right? It could be that you're feeling quite restricted by all of your relationships at the moment. Maybe they're the ones who are kind of going, well, you know, maybe don't do this, that and the other, you know, whatever sort of things that you've been mulling on that you want to change. And it could be that thing that makes you snap here, Pisces, and just go, no, I'm doing it, right? And then just, you know, just decision is made like that. Because, and I think that your instincts are right on this one, Pisces, on account of the fact that I don't know if any of you have noticed, but the Lovers card and the Devil card are essentially the same card. They're structured identically. We have two naked people here. We have some big kind of mythical creature above overseeing the scene, right? The difference between the Lovers card and the Devil card is where the energy is coming from. You know, the Lovers card is all coming from a place of love and free will and people being there because they want to be there, right? And they're naked and vulnerable and exposed, and that is okay, right? That is absolutely fine because they have nothing to fear from that. And it's overseen by this angel. It's all been like, hey dude, oh, this is all cool, right? With the Devil card, you've got two people who are chained by the neck, right? Well, the chains are not that tight. They could actually just pull them over their head, but I don't know how likely you would be to be able to outrun this interesting creature, this devil on top of his perch there. How interesting. I've never noticed that before. So we have this same two naked couple here. But the male character is extending its hand, right? Now, don't get fucked up over the gender. This is not important, right? It's just symbolic here at this point. And I notice that the woman has kind of got her hands close to her, right? She's got her arms tucked in and her hands are kind of like this. It feels a little bit more kind of a sucked in energy. It feels restrictive. It feels trapped, right? The free will element of that isn't quite as present as it is in the Lovers card. You feel stuck and restricted and trapped by these relationships that you are engaged with, whatever they are. And I do think it's time for you to go, right? If that's what it is that you're wanting to do. Not even go as in just go, but, you know, actually just extricate yourself just a little bit, because it feels like it's a little bit too much. Now, as Pisces has been kind of involved in this search for sense of self and kind of allowing yourself to have a sense of self rather than being like this subtotal of the people that are around you, the glue that holds everyone together. You feel suffocated, Pisces. That's it. You feel a little bit suffocated, and to that end I think that a little bit of distance would do you very, very well, right? We've got this Temperance card here. This angel is kind of, it's the same, it's not the same angel, but we've got that kind of angelic thing going on in the Lovers card there, the card that has not appeared, but yet there are shades of it here, you know. But we've got this angel alone, right, filling their own cup, not filling everybody else's. And it does feel like this angel has put a bit of distance between this challenging situation here, back here, you know, and finding their peace seems very important. Pisces, tell me about work and money and materials. What do we know about that? Thank you. We have the Knight of Cups. That's wonderful, because that's you. That's Piscean energy right there, right? And it talks about movement. The interesting thing is at the bottom of this deck here, we've also got the Eight of Cups, which also talks about movement. It talks about moving away from certain things. And we've got somebody on a knight, this knight here on this horse, who is going off in a direction with their cup. It feels like a shift away from something for you. Tell me about this. We've got the Knight of Pentacles then, again, more movement. That's actually three knights that we've got on the table now here for you. We've got the swords, we've got the pentacles, and we've got the cups. Tell me about this. Thank you. Knight of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, Page of Cups. Which for me is a card that I always associate with Pisces as well, because I cannot map it onto the other water signs for me, but I can with you. Knight of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, Page of Cups. Things look good. right? From a money, materials, work sort of standpoint, it looks good. It could be that you are choosing to move on from, you know, where you find yourself currently employed, because we do have you starting again, right? The Knights came out first. There's the movement, and then the pages are about the new starts. It seems like it's kind of moving from one thing, moving along, and then starting something new. But it looks good. It actually looks quite structured. It looks well thought out. It looks like you know what you're doing here. So I'm not seeing anything to be particularly concerned about in either of these. You know, it's just sort of following the plan, the vague plan as you've made it for yourself. I like it. I like it very much. Actually, I've just noticed there we've got the Six of Swords at the bottom of the deck, talking about moving away from things, you know, moving away from the old and towards the new, which is the right thing for you. I like it. What should Pisces be focusing on? Seven of Pentacles, this time in the upright. What should Pisces be focusing on? Seven of Pentacles, please. Oh, goodness. Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck. That's intriguing. Oh, lovely. So, honestly, the first thing I felt when I saw this was kind of focusing on what is not right about the situation that you find yourself in. It's actually really powerful for you this week, because it stops you getting sucked back into what everybody else wants, right? It's about keeping your thinking really clean and keeping a mental checklist of those things that are unsatisfactory that you will no longer let stand, right? And that sounds like quite fierce language, and it's not actually quite as aggressive as I meant it to come out. But you've made lots of decisions recently about what you want moving forwards, and given the opportunity, the people around you will talk you out of them. And that's not what you want. And if the only way that you can stop yourself from being talked around is by having it on a piece of paper that you can look at occasionally and remind yourself exactly why it is that you made these decisions in the first place, it sort of keeps you thinking very clear. Because we've got the Ace of Swords, we've got you keeping it really front and center about, you know, why it is that you're wanting to move away from this energy and this sort of thing in the first place. But we've also got an acknowledgement here of how difficult it has been to make this decision, right? How conflicted that you have felt about it at points in the past, but how you do know that it is the right thing for you. Now, if you do not keep it front and center, you'll likely slide from it again. And that's not good for you. It's not good for the energy that's trying to come in for you. So keep it front and center, you know, even if it feels a little bit alien to you to be focusing on the things that you are not happy with at the moment. And it's kind of opposite to the advice mostly that I give to people is, you know, don't focus on what you don't want, focus on what it is that you do want. But actually for you, you know what you do want, but you forget that you're not happy with what you don't want, if that makes sense, you know. And these people around you, they're not toxic, they're not awful people, but they are just incapable of giving you your space, I think, and you do need that. What should Pisces avoid this week? Well, spot on. Four of Pentacles. Avoid holding on to old situations. Yeah, we've got the Hanged Man here, which actually just, I think it came out in the reverse, but it doesn't really matter. It's a Pisces card. It is you. Like, avoid holding on to or allowing yourself to be hung on to. There we go. That's the thing, Pisces. It's don't allow other people to keep you stuck, to keep you trapped. No, you've made your decisions. You've sat with it for long enough. I really do feel like whoever it is around you is really trying to talk you out of this. There's Page of Pentacles in the Hanged Man. And whether they realise it or not, they are very controlling, right? Whether this is one person or a group of people, they are trying to control you. And the level of control that needs to be exercised over a Pisces is very, very different to that would need to be exercised over something, you know, like a Scorpio or a Leo, right? That would need to be an absolute aggressive, over, like, you know, fucking, you know, whippy tails and crab, you know, claws and fucking lions roaring and stuff like that. It would be very aggressive. It would be very confrontational. The degree of control that can be exercised over a Pisces is a lot less visible than that, and it has its basis in a much more nuanced, potentially a little bit more manipulative, right? In so much as you are so sensitive, you can respond to things on such a nuanced and subtle level that it only takes a very, very low level amount of, you know, emotional blackmail or manipulation of you before you're like, oh, okay, you know, right, all right then, well, I'll just not do that. People are trying to hang on to you, and you are sensitive to it, and where you would have let that, you know, you would have just gone along with that at one point, you know, because it's obviously what those people needed. It doesn't form part of the plan moving forwards. And so anybody who's trying to keep you stuck in one place, they're the people that you kind of need to move away from a little bit. So let's go ahead for something, please. Yeah. Because ultimately, your needs are not being met by this situation. Not at all. We've got the Five of Pentacles and the Eight of Cups in reverse here. Don't be pulled back. Do not be pulled back, and do not be pulled into a state of mind where you know, where you then ignore what it is that you want because somebody else perceives that they might suffer if you do this thing. I mean, the question is, it's like, if you want a way to look at it, maybe consider the possibility that you have, you know, you've been acting as an emotional crutch for people for quite a long time, and it's kind of stopped them from being able to do these things for themselves. Well, it doesn't matter, you know, whatever it is that you need to do, just don't go back. Don't be pulled back. Right, my darlings, I love you all very, very much, but I am going to go now because I've been sat here for, I think, almost 3 hours now. So take care until I see you next week, my wonderful people. Love you all.